looking for answers, but I'm blinded by the light. I'm lost in the music, can I stay here for the night? I promise I'll be gone in the morning, out of sight and out of mind. When you keep running, but your legs are standing still. It's like you're stuck in a nightmare, but you keep doing it for the thrill. Well, this is reality, you only live it once, so wake up from your dream. But just for tonight, let the lines get blurred. Let your thoughts be free, let your thoughts be free. Out of sight and out of
this week's broadcast of the Esports Overwatch Tower Rumble. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. You can see the production back there. They keep everything going, and it is time for the first week of the Esports Tower Winter Overwatch Rumble. Last season in the fall, the Pink Panthers took the #1 spot, and the Everests were the #2. And so we'll get to see the Everests later tonight as one of the top 2 teams from the fall, and we'll get to see if anybody can challenge them. And tonight we also will get to take a look at the newest Esports Tower team, which is the Monsoons, and they'll have a match up against the Everest, so we'll see if they can come out swinging. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and joining me to call all of the action is Brenner Bear Ladd. And I have to ask, since you're a business major, Brenner, what do you think about the $6.7 billion merger that is being proposed for Microsoft buying Blizzard?
So it's a $68.7 billion acquisition, and it looks good for Activision Blizzard, especially with all of the issues they've been having, but hopefully we can see a big turnaround in their community outlook and with their issues that have been going on, and hopefully we can see some game turnaround and maybe some actual content updates for Overwatch, because Overwatch 2 has been delayed for a whole nother year along with Diablo 4. Maybe we can see those delays get reverted and maybe the games come out a little bit sooner now that they have, you know, some actual backing and some money behind them that will give them some good publicity as well. So some hopeful good things looking forward for Activision Blizzard, as well as Overwatch as a state as a whole and many of the other games that we take part in with esports. So hopefully we'll see an improvement in all of those areas.
And as somebody that's actively involved in Overwatch, I am also cautiously hopeful, because there's been a lull in content for a while, other than with the exception of new skins. And I think that if Microsoft took this over, I think there could be some good things that come out of specifically Overwatch, but I don't have the game basis knowledge to talk about all their other things. But bringing it back to the Esports Tower Rumble, the start of the winter season is here. And with it comes the new team, the Monsoons, with a player that fans of our Esports Tower Rocket League Rumbles might recognize. The Everests were one of the 2 teams to win the Esports Tower Overwatch Rumble in the fall. And can they continue or their dominance in the winter, or have the other tower teams started to close the gap? We'll find out later tonight. And Meridian Tech is also worth mentioning, because they're down with Boise State all the time. We talk strategies, we talk with their players, most notably their support lineup. And they've been down to the Boise State arena playing games for a few times over the last couple months, which will be the home field advantage, and maybe that'll help push them to the top.
Yeah, it's something we love doing as part of like our Boise State area, is stay connected with our local teams and the high school players. We like to cast a lot of their matches, give them helpful tips, and as you mentioned, communicate back and forth of maybe they might have some helpful insight for our own team. So it's definitely nice to have just that communication.
So there are a lot of teams with a lot to prove tonight, Brenner, and Doc's Keys to the Game might be able to help that out. And Doc's Keys to the Game in Overwatch are understand your comp/play style. That's something everybody always needs to work on. Focus on each fight, because each fight is important. Get good ultimate value. It's not just there for you to press Q whenever. And the objective is greater than kills. That's the point of a team-based personal shooter. And Doc's Keys to the Game are brought to you by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, and improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players based on how you play and professional coaches to help you rank up. So going into tonight's matchup, we have the ET Fire Islands versus the Everests. Now, the Everests have a lot to prove. What are you expecting to see out of them tonight if they want to take the second spot in the winter, or even go further than that for first place, Brenner?
Yeah, well, we don't actually have the Pink Panthers in this time around, so the Everests have definitely a very strong chance of coming out the gate with being that second place team of the Fall Rumble, of just, hey, we're second place, here's how we got there. And at the same time, the Fire Islands, we've seen them improve probably the most out of any other team. They started off very weakly, but they've been bringing it together and learning a lot. So hopefully we can see a huge improvement there, especially here on Hollywood, where this is a map that everyone has memorized to a T since it's been out for day 1.
And Radius Boss has been working on their diva consistency on the side of the Fighter Islands so that they can enable those brawl comps more. And I think Hollywood, while not a brawl comp map, is definitely going to be something. I mean, obviously both teams have a diva, so that should be in the Fire Islands' favor there.
Yeah, so as we begin to kick things off, Despacito with an early Helix Rockets elimination onto Delirious. Losing that Baptiste of the main heals, especially on defense, is detrimental to their defense. And it seems that they're already backing up off into their spawn, essentially, giving up the point. The first take, soon to be the second. Seems Fire Islands just gave it up way too quickly, and especially losing their Mei as well. They're just getting picked off, and that was easily the fastest win I've ever seen on Hollywood.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw the Baptiste go down and knew that this first point would belong to the Everest. So and I mean, they finally managed. LOL has finally managed to take out Despacito, but it might be too little, too late here as Diamond Dog comes in with 2 eliminations of their own. As we're following Pando's perspective here, trying to get a little bit of chip damage in, and the elimination comes from Panda Squad onto Frozen Phoenix, and the Fire Islands just really do not have a leg to stand on in this whole thing, as Radius Boss is gonna get demeched and try to run away or try to get reset. The Everests are coming out swinging.
I mean, they're definitely proving why they were that second place team in the Fall Rumble. And the Fire Islands, as you mentioned, just haven't been able to really pull things together. They've always been down one member and then continued to get picked off, whereas the Everests have just taken up all the way up to that checkpoint already, and just one person on the cart getting as much free time on the cart as they can. It's just Diva chilling there. Yeah, they could have done it faster with more team members there, but the Fire Islands aren't even going to contest them at all, and I don't know why not. Like, they even have the high ground advantage with the Everest, so they're always going to be at a disadvantage at this point because they gave up so much free ground.
And now as we get set up into the fight, Diamond Dog with a great chatter in the elimination on Delirious. Baptiste is not the first member you want to go down as we continue to pick up and get that aerial view, and now at this point it's just clean up. Your main healer goes down, your main tank goes down, and that fight is effectively won. And we see this next point capped with about as little resistance as the first point was, which is to say, not a ton at all. But this third point, there is a little bit more hope for the Fire Islands here, just because their spawn is right there, and it is notoriously the hardest point of the 3 to push. There's not a whole lot of high ground that the Everests can take and abuse unless it's on a flank, and they only have so many ways that they can come at them. So the Fire Islands can set up here for a stand as long as Diamond Shadow over there doesn't get picked.
Yeah, Panda Squad might even go down here, but he had his teammates right next to him, and now the Dragons in a cornered hallway could cost them here, but it seems that Fire Islands are just going to end up getting picked off by Despacito, who will end up training with Lukey, though. So Lucia's at least doing some work for Fire Islands here, but Diamond Dog with a fantastic 2-piece play will take down Delirious and Frozen Phoenix as Lukey is able to pick up one more.
Well, there you go.
Lukey is going to be the DPS for Fire Islands.
Lukey True has decided that they would absolutely like to step into that DPS role onto Lucio, and I mean, that's fair. Lucio's pretty good at dueling. Lol is going to go down, get a little bit greedy there. Chum is Fum got the final elimination onto them, and with that, the Everests are closing in on point 3, and the Fire Islands have to put up some sort of last stand.
Yeah, we saw Shadow come out for the Fire Islands, and that simply did not get the kills we wanted to see, but now Nano's coming out onto the Lucio no less, and not Doomfist is actually there with a 2-piece on the Ana. It's going to be next to a clean sweep for the Everest. They have 430 on the board on Hollywood of all maps.
That did not feel like there was a ton of resistance. That didn't feel like the Fire Islands were necessarily ready for the Everests coming at them. It felt like that first elimination that Despacito got onto the enemy Baptiste, which main healer no less. It felt like they lost their footing there, and then never really were they able to reset and fully get it back. What do you think, Brenner, that they could be doing better going into this next one?
I mean, definitely Delirious was pushed up way too far ahead. I mean, if he is dying to a Helix Rocket before he can even throw out his Immortality Field, is definitely an issue with the player just being pushed up too far, especially when you have a Reinhardt who can block that and a Diva who can eat it. I think that also just speaks to the tank player's awareness of the situation of we're going up against a soldier who can easily just poke us down from a far range and just rocket burst us down for that 100 damage. So it's definitely something they're going to have to adapt to very quickly. But now with the Everests on the defense, they might have to worry about possibly the Torbjorn on the high ground and just even a Pharmacy, it looks like, but it seems it's going to be an Echo instead, but still going with the Torb as well. So it's just going to be a lot of split target priority that they're going to have to try to focus down one or the other. But I think they're probably even going to go for the Torb just because that turret is stationary and they don't have to worry about a Mercy.
What's your approach here with all the comp knowledge that you have right now on the Everest's defense? What approach would you give the Fire Islands?
Stay close together. I mean, Hanzo only ever had the one double dragon we saw right at the very end because there was just so little team fighting. And so if the Fire Islands can stay close together, that will prevent their main healer from getting picked off, especially here on Hollywood. And they just need to move together. We see that working really well for them as they're pushing up the stairs to contest that high ground. And already they can knock Sigma off. But Despacito with another early pick onto the DPS. He can get back pretty quick, but Radius Boss, once again, losing his Diva mech and the shield being broken, they're going to have to reset.
Despacito is a monster that needs to be stopped, and not Doomfist is going to pop in with one elimination of their own, but the rest of those belong to predominantly Despacito and Panda Squad that is actually on the Echo now, with the full Pocket Mercy. And, you know, when you're going to talk about all the eliminations, and Echo's going to get, you have to talk about the Pocket Mercy too. Looks like Despacito's in there getting a little bit cheeky poke, falls back at just the right time. Would have been dangerous if he had stayed any longer. As both fights set up here, it looks like they've been following your advice of sticking together a little bit. It just feels like the damage is a little bit lacking on the side of the
surprised they would go for a Reaper with such a versatile team of the Everest. You know, they have the Hanzo to climb up the walls. They have the Echo Mercy combo to just stay in the skies. The really anti-tank of the Reaper is not what you want to see from the Fire Islands. Maybe it's just their comfort pick that they'll play, but going up against both a Sigma and Orisa, they're not really contesting those positions, and the Reaper's going off by himself, who's just going to get meleeed by Despacito, is not really the strategy of sticking together, because now it's a 5v6 situation, and they're just getting poked down from multiple directions, which is the advantage that the Everest have of that versatility.
And they lost somebody so early, this wasn't going to be able to be a one fight against the Everest, going in down a fight, and now at this point, they're just kind of like wasting time on the clock as Delirious is the next person to get eliminated. They're not going to be able to regroup until they full reset. Despacito? That looked scary for a second.
Yeah, now Panda Squad's with his own 2Bs, not a Doomfist getting one. Fire Islands, once again, Lol was all by himself, got taken down. Delirious got caught out and was taken out. We saw the Duplicate onto the Reaper and the Death Blossom come out for all at the same time and only get one elimination at that. So this is definitely the definition of a one-sided map. So if you're the Fire Islands, you have to say, all right, we're constantly getting picked by this person, this person, this person. I think if they went to something more like a dive to dive that Hanzo, dive the Sigma, take at least some moral victories and being able to be like, all right, here's our goal of taking down this person, let's execute it. Because they're sticking with the same comp and they're just getting taken apart as, once again, they're going for the high ground rotations, which is just putting him in a corridor where Despacito's going to become a god with that double dragon. The Immortality Field will keep most of them alive, but now they're split up in Delirious Falls.
The Immortality will keep them alive, but as soon as that Immortality field is down, that is a near team wipe coming from mostly Chum is Fun, but Panda Squad and not Doomfist pitching in there a little bit, and we see Despacito getting a final little bit of poke there. So they have 47 seconds, likely one last fight because of how slow these were going. Two, if it's an easy clean wipe both sides. What's the approach, Brenner? Who are we focusing if we want to
go up those stairs because they've done it every time, so they're going underneath, but they're going right into the Gratific Flux, which set him up for not Doomfist to take out Lucci, quickly followed by Panda Squad taking out Lol. So, already losing one of the DPS and one of your healers, you don't have speed boost to get on to point. 20 seconds remaining. They definitely don't have time to get back unless Lucci speeds them back, which he didn't. So now Lol's not going to even be able to get back in time. Now Despacito's even cutting off the rotations. He doesn't even need to be there for the team fight. Shadow's going to come out from the Rhine, but it's only going to land on Sagan. He's going to be immediately slept out of it. So now with the Amplifier coming out as well as the Duplicate, this was an easy win for the Everest. The Fire Islands just getting picked off one by one, not having an answer. They needed to go for a swap there because clearly that comp was not working for them.
And you know, going at it all alone, like some of their members tried to, can only get you so far. Ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of success, you have to level up your teaming skills. We just saw that by all the little flanks and the pathing mistakes that tried, and that was even your key to them, is to play as a team together. And so you can see how to, and Esports Tower takes the time to create teams of well-matched teammates. We saw that on Showcase more so with the Everests than we did with the Fire Islands. But enough about the Fire Islands. What do you think the Everests did right?
I mean, they definitely knew their win condition of, we have a Hanzo, we have an Echo Mercy on defense. We can just pick them off and attack them from all angles that they just simply can't block, especially with their Ryan and a D.Va. And a D.Va who didn't really ever contest the Echo Mercy was a huge issue. And so on top of that, having the double shield in 2 different positions, they had the Orisa further back who could just constantly rain down those bullets, and Sigma to just poke them down as well and try to eat anything they would throw at him was a very good strategy. They played to their win condition. And so looking at the side of Everest, they just played right into that and didn't adapt to it.
And so if you're the Everest, what do you think? It felt like there was a lot more individual skill. Are there any individual players that you would highlight for specific behaviors that played to the Everest success?
I mean, it's hard not to say both the DPS. We highlighted Despacito the most just because of the Hanzo plays picking everybody off with the Double Dragons when they constantly were walking through a corridor for no reason, as well as Panda Squad on the Echo with his Pocket Mercy just helping him along as he was getting multiple eliminations and chasing down the people as they were trying to retreat after getting wiped. So DPS of Everest were definitely the highlights.
And that is, I 100% agree with you. That first elimination came from Despacito, and it felt like it was all just downhill from there on the Everest versus the Fire Islands matchup as we set up going here to map number 2. I will say that Li Zhang is something that the Everest have specifically been practicing this week, and the coaches also say that the DPS have been standout this week, so that might partially be why we're seeing a lot of the Despacito show here. But Li Zhang is something that they've been working on specifically this map with individual map training. So I hate to say it, but I expect the Everest to be even better this map than they were last time.
Yeah, they've always had a very strong individual play level, which is one of the reasons why they did end up losing to the Pink Panthers in the fall, because they just got out-team played. So now going up against the Fire Islands, we need to see Fire Islands have amazing team play to combat the Everest amazing individual play. Starting off with Gardens, where it's just going to be a ring around the Rosie fight, and the Everest going with a different comp than what they've been running, is definitely going to play into their favor, as once again we see Despacito on the Sombra getting multiple picks, as well as Bonesaw, a new DPS for the side of the Everest, taking down Dragon Shadow on this Reaper. So now this is definitely where you want to see Fire Islands bring out that Reaper that they were playing before from LoL, but it seems that they're not going to be doing so and sticking to what they know.
And what they know from what we saw last night can possibly include Reaper, so maybe they'll make that swap that you're asking for there, and it might help them against the Everest here as we get set up for this next fight in close quarters, no less.
Yeah, this is a very traditional Overwatch comp of, you know, the BAP, the Lucio, the Ryan, D.Va, as we see the Coalescence come out from Not Doomfist, a very quickly charged ult. Luki's even going to get the boop elimination onto Pando, proving that he is the better Lucio, which you love to see. And Luki should definitely be one of those players you'd expect to play the DPS role with how many eliminations they've got as Lucio, no less. But now the Everest can easily push him up to that spawn and hold him at that gateway.
If you're the Fire Islands, how are you going to use your ults this next fight to try to break the stranglehold the Everests have had so far?
I mean, even then, the Everest barely have an ult advantage. You have to wait for Dragon Shadow to get that Blizzard, and you have to make sure that D.Va is not there to eat it. If you can land Blizzard on 1 or even 2 members and take them out, that gives you the advantage in the fight. But Bonesaw opening up with the Death Blossom is not what you wanted to encounter if you were the Fire Islands.
Absolutely not. And Diamond Dog, Not My Doomfist, and Bonesaw again are going to pop back up on that kill feed with just cleanup at that point, and it looks like Despacito is setting up for the EMP of their lives this next fight. So if the Fire Islands go through this next room, I gotta say this next fight is probably gonna spell doom for them, or maybe they'll even go for the early engage. It looks like that's what they're trying to do, detect them right outside of their spawn, try to win the fight before they can even touch.
Yeah, I tried to hack the Shatter out, but was not able to get in time, but it did not matter because Chumbus Foam was there with the self-destruct to take out 2 members, quickly followed by Pando getting a boop of his own, taking out Dragon Shadow. It's the rest of your run of going over the bridge with a Lucio. Seems that the Everest will have a clean 100-0 victory against the Fire Islands, who still had ults by the end of that, which is what you never want to see. Worst case scenario, you press Q to just stay alive. Lucio had his sound barrier that could have kept them alive against the D.Va Bomb.
Despacito was set up for that EMP, and they didn't even need to use it because the Shatter just worked so well, and then the cleanup crew came in immediately after with the bomb, and that was just spectacular on the side of the Everest that they were able to not have to use that EMP. It's a little bit unfortunate that the Fire Islands couldn't force that, but honestly, I mean, what were you expecting? from the number 2 team that's especially been working hard on Lijiang Tower these past couple weeks, and it looks like they're going to pull out something cheeky.
I mean, this has been a very go-to strat on this part of Lijiang Tower with the Bastion Symmetra teleporter, and since they're getting here first before the Fire Islands are already at that disadvantage because now Bastion set up top. They have nobody who can go up top and contest him because the Mei is something that just will not work nearly as well as the Bastion Brawl. And we see that evident with Frozen Phoenix getting first elimination onto Bonesaw, surprisingly. But now Diamond Dog gets the refrag, quickly followed by Dragon Shadow taking out Diamond Dog, and Despacito getting a 2-piece of their own with Pando taking out Luki this time around. Battle of the Lucios is something to keep an eye on, but Despacito with that Sim beam just burns it right down. And this is where you want to see Fire Islands change up their entire comp because, as we mentioned so many times, once you lose that first fight with Symmetra, they're going to be expecting it, so you need to swap off of it.
What do you change to? What's going to work against this, Brenner?
You probably want a Cold Cassidy to deal with that Bastion. The stun could also help with the Symmetra trying to burn you down, as well as try to flash above the Ryan shield to bring that down. You could even see a Sombra here to try to hack them out of their shields, which is what the Everest did in the previous map so well. But Fire Islands are sticking with what they got. The Mei has been working out very surprisingly because she does have that longer range and sustainability, as well as the wall to get some cheeky picks. But now with Diamond Dog get on a 2-piece right now, and Despacito on a 2, and Bonesaw on a 2, it's going to be an easy team kill.
And it looks like there's not any comp swaps withstanding to the Cole Cassidy like you were talking about. Are there any play style changes that the Fire Islands can make to try to force this to work against a team like the Everests?
They're definitely living in fear of the Lucio, which is why we haven't seen them go for the far side. And now even with the Amplification Matrix on Bonesaw in the backline, who wasn't even scouted out, this is definitely going to cost the Fire Islands another whole reset. But now Shroom is getting close to that barrier, which could make the difference if he walls off the Bastion, but Bastion has not been the only issue because now they're pushing into their spawn. So the Fire Islands really should just go for the swap, give up the barrier because it is not that big of a game-changing ult, whereas something like the Mei Blizzard is. They did commit the Shatter and didn't get almost any value out of it because the Bastion was just burning them down with the Amplification Matrix. So now Fire Islands still committing to this Symmetra has definitely cost him, and now Despacito getting an early pick on Delirious. Once again, Delirious first to fall on this map will cost him. Diamond Dog just swinging his hammer his way in. Bonesaw is going to go right into tank form, get another team kill, and that's going to be it.
There are several things that the Fire Islands are struggling with a little bit. One of them is comps. I think that the main healer being picked first is the biggest issue that they've been having over the course of these several games. It's not just a 1-fight or a 2-fight thing. It is a repeated, you can expect it. You can expect the Baptiste to go down first. Whether it's a rotation problem or a pathing problem, or it's just a problem, and they're not going to end up taking the victory like that. But I will say on the side of the Everests, they've also just been playing well like a team. What would you say went well for them this map?
The Everest definitely knew what strategy to play on what map and what they needed to change in order to get their win condition. We talked about in the last map how they had the best individual play so far, and they continued that forward where they had a strat. They put Bastion in the corner that the Fire Islands did simply not investigate, and then put the Amplification Matrix down, and he burned right through them. And then for the next fight, he had tank form ready. Even with the wall, he could just drive right through it, which is why the Fire Islands needed to change their comp so badly, because they knew what to expect. They knew, all right, they're going to have this, and this ult. Here's how we counter it, whereas the Fire Islands just kept pushing into it, and that's what cost them. So Everest definitely having that team knowledge of they may not be the best in team play, but they are definitely the second best, which is why they got the second place.
Absolutely. And we see that a lot. People unwilling to switch off of the comps once they've lost the Battle of the Symmetras. We talk about that on cast all of the time. The team that gets there faster and wins first fight wins the right to play Symmetra. If you don't, you need to swap off. And you mentioned that, and I 100% agree with you. And that was definitely a big problem that they were having as we go forward into this next map. Hopefully, they're a little less reluctant to switch things up that are not working.
Yeah, after winning on both Hollywood and Lijiang Tower, the Fire Islands are not looking good here, but hopefully we can see that continue going forward, of them improving.
And we've seen a little bit an as we go into this next matchup, the Everest versus the Monsoons. The Monsoons are our newest team. BBQ has stepped up as the in-game leader and is the primary shot caller for the Monsoons, and so we expect a lot of their things to come from that. Sunky, however, is a longtime Esports Tower player, just on a new team. What are you expecting? We already know the Everests are going to be great. What do you think the Monsoons need to do to come out swinging, kind of like offset their throne, be the underdog, do the reverse sweep, all of those things?
I mean, it could definitely be the issue of, they haven't been scouted nearly as much as the other teams. They don't have really any prior history on our cast side of it, so we don't know what they could be bringing. We don't know their rank, where they're sitting, what their team composition, how long they've been playing together. Hopefully we can see them come out with good team play rather than great individual play, which is what the Everest have been doing so well on. So if they're able to even take a couple map percentages off and give the Everest a little bit of a fight here and there, rather than just, all right, we lost one member, let's immediately back off, rather than try to contest and build some ult charge rather than none, I think would definitely be an improvement from what we see with the Everest dealing with against the Fire Islands. But at the same time, you always have to worry about the Everest. They just played a whole 2 matches against the Fire Islands, which were very clean sweeps, but matches take time, and you have to get tired from that, so we don't know what the breaks in between these 2 matches were. But Monsoons actually starting off on defense on Route 66 could be their advantage, because they're already having that cold casting to try to poke them down early on. But this is where we could also see a Mercy combo work here, because it's just so open for these first 2 points.
The Mercy combo definitely is something that you always want on Route 66, and we just saw the Everest pull out of Bastion. Route 66 is also another map where they could potentially do something like that.
Yeah, so as we get ready to kick off these first engagements, we already see the Everest do have a Pharah this time around and are pushing up very far forward. They want to take that space, and it seems it's going to be Ryan Diva on the side of Monsoons, but the Everest are taking a Winston, and Eternal Flame is on this Widow to try to pick off any members of Monsoons who stray from their tanks. But already Big Boofus in the sky, raining down as many rockets as he can, getting a must-free damage, going for that Brig. And the Brig is a very interesting choice with how versatile the Everests are. I would hope to see that change quickly, but Soup is going to get the first elimination against Nox, quickly followed by Sunky taking down Big Boofus. And now also taking down Eternal Flame, the Reaper. Really popping off against the 2 longer range DPSs. I guess they just got too close, but now with Soup taking down the Rhine and one more falling, Sunky taking down Fem Neptune. They're having a very strong defense and already a very much closer game than the prior 2.
And that is absolutely what we're looking for. The Monsoons are the underdog here, and everybody loves an underdog story. I hope they hold the Everest just this whole first point. And it looks like, with Barbecue stepping up as the shot caller and just kind of the in-game leader, it looks like that's definitely paid off, as they were able to hold up against a fight.
Yeah, Reaper got a little cheeky and pushed up pretty far, but now he's by himself and will get taken down by Supa. Eternal Flame swapped off that Widow very quickly because he was not able to get the picks he needed. Over to the Doomfist, and even was able to beat out a Cold Cassidy. He, as the flashbang, I would assume, did not land. So now Big Boof is taking down Nox. It seems that the Everest, with that simple change of 1 person, was able to win that team fight. So the Monsoons did hold their ground, but I think Reaper getting caught out very early on was a huge issue because he eliminated both DPSs in the last team fight.
And this is actually the Meridian Tech lineup actually is in place of the Everest right now, going up against the lineup we have under Monsoons right now. So I will go ahead and say that.
Okay, good to know.
This is the Meridian Tech lineup. We have the Big Boofus, we have Soup, we have Daydream. These are names we hear at Boise State. We know, we love. They're going up against the Monsoons right now. And Meridian Tech was nothing to sneeze at either in their ranking last time. They were number 3.
They were even able to take off a couple maps from the Everest in the 2nd place, so we know they have game, and we know that we have taught them well as well, which is why they have been doing very well against the Monsoons.
So, I mean, the narrative is the same. They are definitely a worthy opponent for the Monsoons to be going up against here to really, like, test themselves, their limits, see what they can really do.
Yeah, and now with some hopefully new faces on the side of the Monsoons, with the Waffle Man over on the Hanzo this time around. Maybe the new DPS might be able to pick. And Nox still on this Brig is quite interesting because they have the Reaper, so they definitely want to go for a closer engagement to try to deal with this Doomfist. But with the meteor strike coming in, not taking out anyone because the Immortality Field was up. The Death Blossom will come out and be able to eliminate only the one as we cut to the camera away, so we cannot see that kill streak. But the card's still pushing just fine, which is something we talked about in Doc's Keys, where the objective is greater than kills, and that's something Meridian Tech is excelling at. And now Big Boof is being able to take out C squared will cost the Monsoons this second checkpoint because they have no main heals to try to contest this with.
And you definitely don't want to contest it and just keep throwing the bodies on the point if you don't have anything to put there. I will say this final point is, like most final points, the easiest to defend. You want to, but not necessarily from spawn. It looks like Fem Neptune is making Daydream put their work in as one of the main healers for the Meridian Technical School. And it looks like as we set up on the approach here, what are you looking for to do if you're the Monsoons? How are you going to stall 3 minutes and 55 seconds?
I mean, you're in an indoor building. This is exactly where you want to start picking off that pharmacy combo. They've been doing so well. And yet the Monsoons have been able to deal with Eternal Flame on this Doomfist. So now turn your focus over to Big Boofus and Daydream, who've just been uncontested for so long, which is why we see Sunky getting off the Reaper now, going over to the Soldier 76. That's how much Pharmacy has been an issue for them. So now going anti-Pharmacy is exactly what you want to see. They've been able to deal with the Doomfist, and I expect them to continue to do so. If they target down those DPSs, the tanks don't have that damage to match, which is why we see Sunky taking down Fem Neptune, Waffle Man taking down Eternal Flame. Now with C squared even getting on the damage roll, taking out Big Boofus after he ulted on Sunky. The Monsoons are definitely playing a much better defense on this final point.
That was nice, Baptiste. That little pop-up, shoot the far end ahead, get the elimination. Good job. I just need to go ahead and shout out to the main support over there.
Yeah, Baptiste can always deal some damage. We see that with Asu in our own games that we just spent so much time watching because he's a great Baptiste. And now with Nox getting another barrier elimination onto the baby D.Va after she used her D.Va bomb that did take out Waffle Man, including the Immortality Field. Seems he just left the Immortality Field at the worst time. But Sunky once again taking down Eternal Flame, which is very surprising because if Eternal Flame as a Doomfist gets right in Soldier's face, we see a lot of the times a Soldier will just hit right click and blow themselves up with their own rockets, but it seems Sunky has just been taking them down from a distance before he can even close that distance. So Eternal Flame will decide to swap out and go for the Cassidy, as Sunky also was able to take down that Winston, so Neptune will swap over to the Reinhardt.
The Monsoons have successfully stalled a minute off the clock. What do they need to do now with the complete comp swap on the attacking team?
They got both ult of the auto-aim sights as well as the amplification matrix from C squared. They could easily combo this and go for a team up to take out the aerial squad of Daydream. And it seems they're going to do exactly that.
You called it. Great job.
Yeah, and C squared was able to take down Eternal Flame, so already they're going to have to back off, losing that main healer because Soup will simply not be enough, as Big Boofus also swapped over to the Tracer to try to cause some havoc in the backline, but we haven't seen an elimination come from them just yet.
The Everests are still there. The Monsoons are still holding strong there, with the immediate elimination onto Daydream. That is how you stop a fight. We saw it last match, we saw it on Lijiang, we saw it all over Hollywood. You lose your main healer, you lose the fight. You lose Daydream, you lose the fight. And Daydream actually looks like they have swapped over to Moira to be a little bit of less of a tease in the air there, and to output more overall healing as we close on this last point.
Yeah, so now with the Everests going straight into Shatter, we'll be able to land onto only 2 members, but Fem Neptune will be immediately taken out, followed by Eternal Flame and Big Boofus. So Waffle Man is able to demech the D.Va, and already the Everests are going to have to back off. So the Monsoons are turning out to be real competition for the Everests so far, or for Meridian Technical so far. The names are going to hurt me, but I knew it. As Fem Neptune takes down Soul Shadow as well as King Swift taking down Nox, so it seems that Meridian Tech is coming back, but BBQ's there to take down Big Boofus and take down the DPS in the backline that's been harassing them. So now Waffle Man will throw out the Double Dragons before falling. But Meridian Technical's on the offensive, pushing that car right past the amplification matrix, and the rally is coming out for the Monsoons to keep them alive the best they can, but Deadeye coming out from Eternal Flame will be able to pick off Nox as he is rallying. So now Daydream's there with their own coalescence to just continue pushing with their team, but now that both tanks of the Monsoons as well as the main heals of C squared are back alive, Meridian Technical does not have the time advantage, so now it's going to be all out stall, and all eyes are going to be on Big Boofus as he gets taken out. He was the last member to contest the best he could, same with Daydream. So now we want to see full stall comp come out from the Everest, but with only 3 members remaining and Soup on a Zenyatta no less, is very surprising for a full stall comp. They're able to hold the back of it, but a great 5-man shatter coming out from Neptune as he falls no less to Sunky, who might have cost them that match because he had no follow-up from the rest of his team, and that is a wasted ult. You want to see him swap over to a Wrecking Ball or even the Winston there. The Transcendence is going to come out from Soup to keep his team alive, but no eliminations have come out so far, and another amplification matrix is coming out for C-Squared, and that will lead to the elimination of Big Boofus from Waffle, quickly followed by Soul Shadow taking out Daydream, and King Swift are taking out Waffleman as the refrag, but Sunky is there with his own refrag to take out that tank. BBQ is there with a 2-piece to take out the Soldier and Winston. Sunky finishes out. And Meridian Tech had a very good defense. They held that for over 4 minutes.
And that's impressive. The almost 4 minutes there, almost the full hold. Their defense felt like it really came together on this 3rd point, where it was completely lackluster 2nd point and put up a little bit of a fight 1st point. Are there any specific players you want to highlight from the Monsoons here who are our newest teams that just held for almost 4 minutes?
I mean, I definitely want to say Sunky for sure. He had the great Reaper play of beating both a Pharah and a Widow as a Reaper, and then on the 3rd team fight, he had the Death Blossom, which got him 2 eliminations from that, one of them being the Winston, which was the main tank, which is exactly what you want to see a Reaper accomplish. And then once they got indoors, he started playing to his win condition of Soldier 76 against a Pharmacy indoors. So I definitely want to shout out him, as well as both Reinhardts on both teams. They both had very good shatters, but never their team to really quite follow them up. And also on the side of the Monsoons, C-Squared on that Baptiste, he had very notable plays that definitely led to the Monsoons' victory. So now with them on the offense, I expect them to play definitely as aggressive as Meridian Technical did to try to take that rooftop and push the cart. But hopefully they don't forget to bring the cart with them.
There are a lot of Baptiste players that either focus on the damage or the healing aspect of a thing, and that is definitely not the case for C-Squared over here. They have all of the healing numbers. I'm confident they're high. They're keeping their team up in what was mostly a brawl in that last room, but they're also getting 1 to 2 eliminations every fight.
Yeah, Meridian Tech is also holding very closer and not nearly on the high ground like the Monsoons did. So with them, Neptune on the Roadhog this time around, we'll get the first elimination against Shadow Soul because they only have the 1 barrier. It seems Shadow Soul will quickly come back, and it seems BBQ will even get slept with the Wrecking Ball in the back line. Fem Neptune will take out Nox, quickly followed by Eternal Flame. The charge punch against BBQ. They're going to have to go for the reset, losing that front line.
And on the side of the Monsoons, BBQ has swapped over onto the ball from the Reinhardt. Shadow Soul is now on the Reinhardt. So there is that little swap into tanks there. We'll see if Shadow Soul will be able to hold up to the big shoes BBQ left to fill on Reinhardt on defense.
Yeah, so now with Fem Neptune taking out Waffleman so early on, losing kind of that Junkrat spam that will definitely help push back the defenders. Being Sweater falling very low, was not able to capitalize on it, but a very early double dragon coming out from Sunky, not able to get any eliminations, and will get taken out by Big Doofus on the Cold Cassidy. And out of the mines coming out from BBQ, who Monsoons are charging their ultimates so quickly, but now Everest ults are coming online and immediately will use both of them with the Whole Hog and Meteor Strike, leading to 3 eliminations. So we watch Sunky just immediately turn around and walk back into the spawn.
Which makes sense. You definitely don't want to just throw the body onto point and give them the enemy team ult charge. If you're the Monsoons, what do you do to break this hold that stopped them for 2.5 fights now?
I mean, the Roadhog has definitely been causing them issues, but that also makes me think that they've been focusing him too hard, because that's when a Roadhog excels, is everyone's focusing him. He can just heal. He has the 2 backline healers to just keep him alive, as well as Nox. So if they can get an early pick here, that will help them win. So if they pick off someone like Eternal Flame, who the Doofus might get in the backline, hooking him out of his ultimate will also be a huge win, denying that Gratific Flux. That's why you play a Roadhog, as BBQ swapped over from the Wrecking Ball, who is not working. So already we're seeing huge improvements from Monsoons of having that comp swamp, which we saw both Fire Islands and the Everest not do nearly as much mid-match. Big Boof is on this. Cole Cassidy has also been doing very well, taking out Waffleman. Waffleman's been taken out multiple times very early on, so he needs to play further back, especially as a Junkrat spam. Just bounce your nades off a wall, and you'll guaranteed to get free damage.
Daydream going to go ahead and get the Coalescence elimination onto Nox, and then the Immortality Field elimination as both teams kind of like back up to lick their wounds a little bit. And Big Boofus getting the final elimination onto Sunky as the Monsoons, and it looks like that's going to be a full reset there. And all it cost the Everest was, well, I mean, Daydream's Coalescence, but now Daydream themselves too.
Yeah, that's the early pick you want to start pushing right into it. Both the Tire and the Rally will do it along with a great shatter. So a 3-man Tire for Waffleman will need to make that 4 with the help of his mine against Feb. Neptune wasn't a team kill, but close enough, and that was a great wombo combo from the Monsoons. That's exactly what they needed.
And the wombo combo
But they're leaving the
secured.
car behind.
They are leaving the car behind. Shadow Skull over there. Shadow Skull's thinking about it. They're like, gosh, I really don't want to be the one to push this, but everybody else has already pushed up. Monsoons. Waffleman almost handed them the fight on a silver platter when they got the elimination onto Daydream, but the fact that Soup still exists meant that there needed to be something else. As we set up for this Death Blossom, Sunky's going to go ahead and get just a one-person elimination onto Eternal Flame, better than nothing. And then Fem Neptune, Big Boofus are going to pop up in the eliminations, and it looks like the defense might be able to hold here with their scattered rush to cart contest.
Yeah, and it seems to be working as overtime ticks down, and the Meridian Technical will end up taking it. A very strong victory for them, but we saw the Monsoons come back, so they have the potential.
And you know, going it alone can only get you so far. Or it's ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of success, you have to level up your team play skills. You can't do it by yourself. And you can really see how talented individual players are when they're put on a great team. Esports Tower really takes the time to create teams of well-matched teammates. I'd like to do a little bit of a shout out to the coaches. And if those of you watching haven't checked out Esports Tower clubs yet, you should. It's a fast track to rank up whatever game you're trying to rank up.
Yeah, it's always helpful to be matched with players who won't immediately rage quit when you try to first pick Hanzo, and they're like, that's not how this comp works. It's like, well, why don't you trust me for a little bit? So it's definitely helpful to have somebody to help you guide along and be like, hey, you can play with this person, and they will complement you in these ways. So definitely helpful to have skills such as that. But going back to the matchup, Monsoons had a very strong defense, but it was also at the very last minutes when they had the spawn advantage. So when they got to attack, we saw they had the capabilities to win team fights. They just needed the ults, and it took them too long to build them up, so they had enough to win the fight against Meridian Technical. And Meridian Technical played that very well because they knew their win condition, and they definitely had that team play. But I think the individual play is where they won out, because we saw people like the Eternal Flame and the Roadhog just get constant picks.
And then if you're the Monsoons trying to charge your ultimates and trying to make sure you're at the advantage in ultimate economy, how do you charge those ultimates? How do you do that quickly?
I mean, if you look at someone like Waffleman on the Junkrat, who is pushing up way too far, but as a Junkrat, you should be charging your ult as fast as, you know, someone like Amora, who gets Coalescence faster than anybody else, because you're just sitting there with Junkrat spam constantly getting damage, especially against someone like a Roadhog who can't block it and will just have to take it to the face. That's guaranteed damage and guaranteed ult charge. So if they took a little bit more time and build up the ult charge rather than diving right on top of them, yes, they had Nox on the Brig to try to keep them in the team fight longer, but going into a Cole Cassidy and a Doomfist was not the win condition.
And as we see here, the Monsoons are definitely putting up a fight, but it's not necessarily, it hasn't been enough for them so far. And we have the swap here. The Monsoons are now on the
Red side
here instead of the blue, which is a little bit. And this is Li Zhang now. What are you expecting to see here, Brenner?
I mean, already we see on the side of the Monsoons with Sunky on the Genji, a hero we have not seen them play yet, but with how well they've been able to play pretty much any DPS, I expect that to go very well. But instead, BBQ is going to get a two-person environmental elimination, quickly followed by Waffleman getting one more, who is now swapped over to the support role, no longer on the DPS. But it seems that Meridian Technical are having a very rough start. So now with I would hope to see a little bit swaps, and especially with Daydream sticking to their Pocket Mercy with Eternal Flame, you want to see them splitting off from the main group, so it's going to be a 4-2 push to try to split up the target priority of the Monsoons. So hopefully we'll see Meridian Technical be able to accomplish that.
Eternal Flame is going to get the elimination onto Sunky, immediately followed up by Shadow Soul's own elimination onto Fem Neptune. Main tank is never somebody you want to lose first or second in a fight, as we set up for this next one.
Yeah, Eternal Flame taking out C Squared, as you mentioned, quickly followed by Big Boofus taking out Nox. So at least the Cole Cassidy is doing his job of countering the Pharmacy, or at least the Pharah of Nox, because the Meridian Technical does have that Pocket Daydream Mercy that is their go-to champion, and Soup getting the environmental against Shadow Soul, as well as Big Boofus continuing to shut down Sunky. It's exactly what you want to see. The Cole Cassidy definitely playing to his win condition of beating out that Genji. So I would hope to see, after the Nano Blade is committed, if it doesn't work out, especially going into a flashbang, you want to see it swapped off. BBQ's been doing very well, so has Shadow Soul, but Nox not having a Pocket Mercy going up against a Pharmacy as well as a Cassidy is constantly going to lose that engagement. And losing C Squared, the one healer who can heal a Pharah in the sky, is not what you want to see. So Monsoons are going to have to play a lot slower.
And going in the room is ultimately the right play unless you have a Pharah. You don't want to bring your Pharah into that. So Nox is going to lose the Pharah v Pharah versus the Eternal Flame, because a ground bird will always lose to a sky bird in this game of Overwatch.
Yeah, Nox was also previously on the hero on that break, so now over on the DPS role, they might not be playing to the best ability, and with Monsoon using the Sound Barrier so early on, quickly followed by the Mines coming out, and the Everett's using their own Shatter, or it seems that Daydream's going to answer with their own Valkyrie. The Mines only able to pick off one onto Soup as Fem Neptune takes down C Squared, quickly followed by Sunky taking down Fem Neptune. Big Boofus is there with a reflex to take down Waffle Man, but Eternal Flame is able to demech Shadow before Nox now on the Ashe will take down Eternal Flame, and King Swifter is able to win the off-tank battle, taking down the D.Va. So now Nano Blade coming online for the Monsoons. They have to use it because they do not have the percentage to wait around, and he's immediately going to go in onto Big Boofus, quickly followed by taking down King Swifter. So Sunky is on the 2Bs, but will get pinned by Fem Neptune and lose that bit. And quickly followed by Eternal Flame using the Barrage to only take down Waffle Man, testing it the best they can, but this whole time Meridian Technical has been charging that percentage, so they could win this very quickly, and booping him off, trying to chase him down to maybe even get the rocket elimination, make sure he dies there. Meridian Technical is very securely might be able to win this, as another boop eliminations coming out for Soup, will be followed by Eternal Flame, and BBQ on the Wrecking Ball was not able to make it there in time. The Monsoons playing that very split, kind of going for individual play, which cost them dearly.
And we always say team play over individual play. That's an Esports Tower thing, that's a Boise State thing, that's just a video game thing that will generally help you out. I think one of the other things that the Monsoons fell prey to was not playing to their Pharah's win condition. Their Pharah, most of the time, was on the ground or in some enclosed space, and that is not where the Pharah is going to get the most value.
Yeah, they needed a Pocket Mercy to deal with the other Pharmacy on the side of Meridian Technical with Daydream and Eternal Flame. So now going over to the tower map of Lijiang Tower with Eternal Flame now on the Sim Brawl. This could be a very easy win for them. Obviously, the Mercy is not the best pick here, but we know Daydream can accomplish a lot because it is their best pick. And with the Monsoons not even taking a Sim, instead going with the Ashe and Soldier. Yeah, they have a lot of DPS output, but they're not on the point. You have to remember, objective is greater than kills, and already we can see that with King Swifter being able to take out 2 alone by himself, with Big Boofus and Fem Neptune taking out 2 more, chasing down the D.Va. This might be a little bit of a mistake, but he got the health pack and quickly made sure to fall off the edge.
And I mean, the falling off of the edge wasn't necessary at that point because they were back to the rest of their team, and so it was going to happen either way. But I mean, an interesting thing to add flavor to the kill feed as we set up in this next fight.
I mean, it definitely gave the Monsoons a chance because they don't have their main tank, and then as Daydream gets another uncontested res onto Big Boofus after falling to Sunky, who's now on the Hongo this time around, Fem Neptune immediately comes back and shatters 3 members of the Monsoons, and that will lead to 2 eliminations for Soup. But Sunky is able to take down Fem Neptune, and quickly followed by Seed Squared taking out Daydream. Will use even the Amplification Matrix, but his team doesn't really have much of a follow-up as they simply line of sighted it. And they're already up to 35%, and the Monsoons haven't even touched the point.
What are you looking to do if you're the Monsoons trying to attack this already defended point? What do you need to happen?
They need an entryway, and attacking the main tanks who are Mercy pocketed this whole time is not the way to do it. You want to try to take out someone like Big Boofus and Eternal Flame, and Eternal Flame's a great start, but you already lost your D.Va, who's now swapping over to an Orisa. They're going for a double shield, very slow play, and Daydream's getting these uncontested reses. Did die immediately afterwards, but still got it off. So now with the Gratific Flux coming out, not leading to eliminations except for his own life. It seems the Monsoons have not had a solid team push where, all right, now let's all push together with this ult. It's just, hey, I'm going to go in and ult, see if you guys can do anything about it, as the double dragons come out for Sunky. Will not lead to eliminations. Instead, he will get eliminated with Nox now on the Sombra, just kind of out and alone, getting poked by Doomfist all the way around, never looking in the right spot.
Big Boofus is going to go ahead and get that elimination onto Nox, which is usually how you expect the Sombra-Cole Cassidy interaction to go. It doesn't look like there's going to be an opportunity to touch the point. Hanzo's going to come around and kind of try, but it looks like that was thoroughly not the Monsoons map. They were not able to be any sort of contention there. And you know, going it alone can only go so far. Ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of success, you have to level up your teaming skills. You can see just how talented these individual players are, but on a team they become much more. Esports Tower really takes the time to create teams of well-matched teammates, and I'd like to shout out to the coaches. And if those of you watching haven't checked out Esports Tower clubs yet, you should. It's a fast track to rank up in Overwatch and all other games.
Yeah, and hopefully we will see more players ranking up soon, so when they get to the collegiate level, they are able to continue on and maybe even join our team, as we are watching Meridian Technical, a hometown favorite, do very well against the Monsoons, who towards the end with the Orisa Sigma play were pretty much just defending their own spawn at that point because they couldn't get to the point. They couldn't break through the defense of Meridian Technical because Meridian Technical knew their win condition on the map. Get on the point with Sombra, win the first team fight, hold the point. And Monsoons just were, at that point, let's not die and forget about the point, and they couldn't even do that half the time because when they were trying to go in, they were splitting up going in. They couldn't pick one path, and when they did, they were constantly losing that engagement because they weren't playing to their team comp's win condition. As a Sigma Orisa comp, you want to go slow and steady with double shield and just inch them further back, but you're going into both a Ryan Diva combo, so they're going to be able to out-sustain you for a long time, especially having a Pocket Mercy on the Reinhardt is not exactly what you want to be going up against. So then you want to turn your attention to the DPS, but at that time the DPS were just simply outperforming the enemy DPS on the Monsoons. So it was a hard loss for the Monsoons, but we know that they had signs of life, especially after that defense on Route 66.
And because of those signs of life and that defense I cannot emphasize enough how impressive that defense on the side of the Monsoons was. They did an amazing job. And so you said specifically that DPS were outperforming other DPS and things like that. How do you break an unbreakable defense?
You got to take it from a different angle. We saw them constantly sticking to the ground. Maybe try to transition over to a pharmacy combo because the side of Meridian Technical didn't have a ton of tools to deal with that. Symmetra is not the best at dealing with it. When you get to the point and it's a more enclosed space, yes, she can deal with it, but they weren't even getting that far of it. So just trying to win the outside battle and secure it, so when you do lose one or two members, you can maintain it, especially when only Big Boofus was on the Cole Cassidy and Eternal Flame was on the Doomfist. Doomfist can't really deal with flyers as well as on other maps he can, such as Dorado, where he can get on the rooftops and be a presence in the sky. On Lijiang Tower, he doesn't have those capabilities. So the flyers could work. Also a more dive of, all right, they have a Mercy pocket. Let's dive her. She's the main heals. We take her out. We have a chance. Instead of, we're going to slow push them and just hit each other until one of us falls over. No, you need to pick a target, engage on that target, and try to cause some chaos.
And we're going to go back to break, but we have more esports action right after this for the Tower Rumble.
NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Overwatch. We're broadcasting live here from the Boise State Game Pants Arena. You can see our awesome production team there in the back. And we head into our second round of games tonight for the Overwatch Winter Rumble. And remember, from the fall, we had the Pink Panthers at first and the Everest in second. And tonight, this next game is the Everest versus the Monsoons. The team with a lot to prove that took second place and the newest team out there. They're back for another season. Both of these teams have a lot to prove. We've seen a lot from both of them. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway, and joining me to call all of the action is Brenner Bear Ladd. And what have you seen from those? How are you expecting the Everests to live up to their second place title, if you were expecting them to do that at all?
I mean, after watching the game of the Monsoons taking on Meridian Tech and the Monsoons having a hard-fought loss against Meridian Tech, and then also the Everest showing why they were the second-place team, having a dominating victory over the Fire Ants, I expect the Everest to have a pretty strong victory against the Monsoons. But if the Monsoons do get cornered in a escort map like we saw on Route 66, I do hope to see them win that, because we saw them be able to perform when their back is up against the wall, that they were able to hold out against Meridian Tech, who has beaten the Everest in the past. So hopefully we will be able to see a more competitive match here with these two teams. And especially I want to see the Monsoons improve on their attack on multiple situations where they do very well on the defense when their back is up against the wall and have the spawn advantage. But I want to see them win when they have the disadvantage, and also not be able to have a concisive team push rather than what they've been doing of constant individual play, because the Everest will beat them in the individual play. We know they are one of the best individual plays in this Esports Tower Rumble. So going up against the Monsoons, we want to see the Monsoons just say, all right, we lose on the individual level, let's beat them on the team level.
And it always comes back to team play, especially in Overwatch.
Yeah, it is a team objective-based game, so without your team, you can't win at all. It's the same issue we've seen in so many other games of it's another Blizzard game. Here's the Storm. It's a team-based game. Without your team, you will lose. It's not like other MOBAs like League where you can have the one carry. It's a team-based. Everybody shares the experience, and it's same with Overwatch. You need your healers. You need your tanks to win. You can't just be that solo DPS that's going to get the six-man win, because this isn't quick play. Everyone's not just doing their own thing. This is a competitive match in a Tower Rumble. You want to be playing together, win the team fight, get the objective, and then be able to hold it.
And because nobody can do it by themselves, we want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the clubs and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $1.2 million in scholarships awards. These students have not only worked hard in their in-game play, but worked hard academically, and they have earned these scholarship opportunities through both. We could not be more excited and proud to see all the opportunities, all the well-deserved opportunities these players are getting.
Yeah, more and more every day. It's exciting to see how esports is growing, and hopefully it will continue to grow, especially now with the whole acquisition of Microsoft taking over Blizzard. So hopefully we'll see that continue with Blizzard being like, hey, we're improving in this, so let's start supporting our esports events to grow the community. So hopefully we'll see that continue moving forward.
And regardless of what happens with the Blizzard, esports is going to keep growing. It's a great thing to be a part of. And tonight, with our match for the Everest versus the Monsoons, there are some things that they have going great for them that can help them grow, and that is Doc's keys to the game, which in Overwatch is to understand your comp/play style. This goes within playing as a team, knowing what role you play within the team. Focus on each fight, because each fight is important. Each fight can be the single determiner on whether or not you lose. Get good ult value. It's not on a cooldown. It's something you have to work hard to charge, and it's something you need to use to great effect. That's why it's there. And the objective is greater than the kills. You want to be on point performing your role. You don't just want to be in the kill feed. That's not what will win the games for you. And those are things that the Monsoons need to take to heart if they're going to take out our fall second place champions for the Esports Tower Rumble.
Yeah, they definitely have a mountain to climb that is the Everest, no less.
I see what you did there.
I mean, it's a good team name for that phrase, so why not say it? And the Monsoons definitely have a lot to prove, being the new team of here's where we stand, here's how we're going to do, because it is the first week of the Winter Rumble, so it's definitely going to be a rocky start, but they can definitely bring it back in upcoming Rumbles, seeing as this is just the first one of the winter. So they can easily come back, win a Rumble if possible, maybe even two, so they can come back for the championships. And as we're kicking things off on Rialto, no less, we're going to see some friendly faces of Torbjorn on both sides.
And as the Monsoons set up to defend in the red, what is the strategy on Rialto? What are some of your favorites? What do you think would bring them success against the Everests?
I mean, if the Monsoons are on defense first with BBQ on a Winston, okay, they're not, thankfully. Winston defense is terrible on this map, so I'm happy to see it's not. So on the attack, they have the ability to dive in, but he's going to be diving in alone, so a lot of eyes are going to be on BBQ for him to be able to perform in that solo role. But on the defense, on the side of the Everest with Bonesaw on the Ashe and Despacito with the Torb turret, they're going to have split priorities, but the Torb hammer battles are coming out, but will not last too long. Sadly, we did not see elimination. Said Diamond Dog will just get the flame strike. So the defensive strat here for the Everest is going to be poke him out, try to catch him out of rotations, win, you know, one or two individual fights. And Despacito, even with the turret kill, takes down Shadow Soul, quickly followed by Diamond Dog getting a pin on Waffleman. It seems that they're already going to have to reset for the poor Monsoons. I respect the hammer battle. Sadly, we were not able to see that to a conclusion, but BBQ already swapping off and going over to the Wrecking Ball. He can cause as much havoc in the backline as he can, but he is only one hamster, whereas the entire team of the Everests, they have the Zenyatta to defend the backline with that Discord Orb and deal a ton of damage. Also with the turret just auto-hitting, locking onto the Wrecking Ball could cause a problem. He's going to have to watch out for that turret and also try to not get just booped off the edge, because that is a huge problem with this map. It seems no one is going for that strategy. Instead, not Doomfist is there with the Baptiste just to burn down BBQ, trying to roll away in time. This is the issue we've seen so many times. They try to go for individual play like Waffleman, who just pokes his head out for a second, and Bonesaw's there to pick him off. We see Nox over by themselves, putting the turret down, gonna get poked down. 8 health remaining. We'll just immediately have to retreat.
And as we set up for this next fight, what do you think is the approach for the Monsoons that will break this Everest defense? Because currently the Everests have a monopoly over the rest of the high ground, and so the tanks are pushing spawn doors. How do you break this?
You need to pick a direction to start pushing as a team. We're seeing Reinhardt right now walking up by himself. No heals behind him, no DPS behind him, and he simply just fell over dead because no one was behind him. The whole point of a Reinhardt when he pushes up is the team is behind him because he is their shield. Instead, Monsoons just got team wiped.
Despacito in there with that final elimination onto Sunky and Mihanzo. As we see here, we see Chum is Fun getting the direct engage right inside of the spawn, and BBQ is actually going to have to run away at less than a quarter of health into their own spawn just to get healed up. And Soul is going to just be eliminated on the Ashe over there.
Yeah, BBQ jumped in
dive.
himself right into the molten core, so Despacito played that very well, just baited the monkey into jumping, and his turret gets another one onto Waffleman. It was a more concise team push, but once again, BBQ's playing this team like it's a dive, but he is the only dive character on the team. Like, Waffleman can try, but he's a Lucio. He's going to get picked out because Bonesaw is hitting their shots, who's now on the Widowmaker, no less, because he doesn't need the Ash. He's not getting engaged enough because they're jumping on a Torbjorn who has the help of his turret. They're just not taking the engagements they want, so now Monsoons are going to try to change it up with Nox now on the Doomfist. They're trying to go a weird hybrid dive brawl comp, and it hasn't been working for them because Bonesaw right out the gate is going to headshot Nox and take him out of the fight.
Pando's going to get that elimination on Shadow Soul. You never want your main tank to go down first. Pando's going to follow it up with the elimination on the other tank, which is BBQ, which is normally is Indada's job. We have Diamond Dog cleaning up onto Waffleman. Chum is Fum getting the final environmental elimination, no less, onto CS Squared. And with 32 seconds, they have one solid fight at max, especially if Shadow Soul goes down here, which we know they're going to, falling to the inevitable hammer kill that we knew Despacito was going to get at least one here. As the rest of the tanks go down here, it feels like everybody on the side of the Monsoons is everybody is playing a different game. This feels less like Team Overwatch and more like individual eliminations, and so the Everests are eating them alive as we set up into this next fight. The Shatter will land onto no one, the Molten Core will also land onto no one, but the eliminations in the chat are coming from not Doomfist and Diamond Dog. Diamond Dog gonna go ahead and pick up another one. Despacito picking up the elimination onto BBQ, and I think that fight is about done, and the rest of this is just a valiant stall for time on the side of CS Squared and Nox as they get eliminated by Bones and Despacito. Waffleman getting that final environmental kill onto Bonesaw, so the Monsoons are showing us signs of a little bit of life here as we set up, but Chum is Fum is going to get the immediate elimination back onto BBQ again, and another hammer kill in the chat for Despacito just to end the round.
I mean, at that point, the Everests were just having pure fun against the Monsoons, as we saw with Despacito just getting hammer kills, because the Monsoons were just like, all right, everybody just go 1v6 and just trickle out, because that's what they were doing. That's how far they pushed the cart. It's still within view of a spawn door. That's how far they moved it. They couldn't get it over the bridge. They got it on top of the bridge. So now, if the Monsoons want to even have a sliver of chance of winning, they essentially have to hold it where the card is already sitting.
And if you're going to try to hold where the car is already sitting, what's the strat there, Brenner?
You could try to go for the total meme of Bastion right above their spawn. If they don't go above spawn, you can just try to burn them down from behind. You can try to go aerial. You can try to just go pure boop and go for environmentals with being right by the bridge, trying to knock them into the water.
What do you think about high ground control while the tanks push spawn, which is what the Everests did that held back the Monsoons so successfully?
The issue with the Monsoons would have with that is their tanks play very individually, so I think their tanks could get too aggressive and just push right into spawn underneath. So then if they have the high ground control, they don't have line of sight to protect the tanks because the tanks will get too aggressive because they're playing alone. So I think that could be an issue, but at the same time, the Monsoons aren't one player is in sight right now. So they're not holding forward, they're holding back. So they're already going to play safe, and the only person to leave spawn is going to be Despacito. So I guess he just wants to be the one-man army that is Torb. Or maybe they want to give them the first point victory so that they continue this game a little bit longer. Or they're just going to go for complete flank memes and take, with Chum is Fum taking out BBQ and Despacito taking out Waffleman in that 1v1. Wasn't the hammer kill though, but not Doomfist will take out Sunky, and it seems that will be exactly it.
And we even have some sitting on the moating on the cart just because of that initial. It felt like that was even less resistance than the initial. And Esports Tower want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers? Then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights, and with our featured rumbles, recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. And on that note, are there any specific players that you would highlight that perhaps recruiters would be taking notes of?
I mean, after that game, obviously Despacito, who got 2 hammer kills, it's just anybody who can do that, I give respect to. We've seen Gob do it on our own team because sometimes you just got to flex on him like, hey, I'm going to kill you with a hammer now. I'm not Reinhardt, but I'm the Torb, so I'm going to do it. And I respect the Torb 1v1s at the very start of that as well. They were just going at each other and no elimination came out of it, but it was just fun to watch at that point. And so I definitely keep eyes on Despacito as well as Diamond Dog on the side of the tanks for the Everest, who is doing very well as the Reinhardt, holding the front line, getting multiple Flame Strike eliminations, charging his Shatter very quickly, and landing Shatters onto multiple members rather than just the one.
I will also say, to Diamond Dog's credit, that there's a lot more going on for Diamond Dog other than just being in the kill feed, because normally the main tank is the main shot caller, and if you're the main shot caller of the Everests, you're doing a pretty great job, because they've pretty much dominated everything they've been at tonight. And against the Monsoons, that is no exception, as we set up for a control map, which is Ilios. What are you expecting either team to run here on Ilios?
I mean, already looking at their comps, I expected the Monsoons to go with the Reaper because we know Sunky really enjoys that Reaper from previous matchups. And on the side of the Everest, Panda Squad's back on the Tracer, as well as Bonesaw's now on the Genji, something we haven't seen them play that much of in these matches so far. But the team of the Everest is looking much better because it seems that they have a concise idea of, all right, 2 DPS are going to try to pull out somebody from the Monsoons, and then the 2 tanks will collapse on them because the heals are in the back line to keep everybody alive. Whereas the Monsoons have a Pharah without a Mercy, a Brig in the front line, but nobody to back her up, as both Sunky and Shadow Soul and BBQ fall very low. And already in the first not even 30 seconds of the match, it's going to be a team kill because Bonesaw is just going on a tear, getting a quad by himself because they have that high-speed momentum. The Everests are just outmaneuvering the Monsoons, which is why immediately we're going to see Sunky swap over to the Soldier 76 to try to keep up with the speed that is the Everest team.
And we see Bonesaw getting a little bit of poke in there. Looks like they're going to dive in with Panda Squad, probably in sync, which is ultimately what you want to do. Pando is in your backlines on CS Squared. Someone get that on a bodyguard. Pando's going to get 3 eliminations that game. One of them a melee kill onto BBQ. Diamond Dog is going to get the charge onto Shadow Soul. Sunky's going to get the elimination onto Bonesaw. Bonesaw is the price, but I mean, when what you're buying with your elimination is getting to hold essentially right outside the enemy spawn, can't say things are looking too bad for the Everests here, as we have Diamond Dog on the Reinhardt set up to do a cheeky flank pseudo dive with both of his DPS.
I mean, everyone is crouching above the roof to try and hide, so you could definitely say that they are sitting pretty at the moment as Panda Squad even pulse bombs knocks on that Cole Cassidy. Make that a triple, taking down both CS Squared and BBQ, quickly followed by the rest of his team to clean up the Monsoons, and that is a 3rd team kill for the Everest. I think they wanted to go for the big shatter play if they ran it down mid, but were not able to do so. But also, I want to just shout out Sunky on the side of the Monsoons, because you could tell once he went to Soldier, his one goal was to defeat Bonesaw after getting that quad. And now with Waffleman just beelining for the point to try to split up the attention of the Everests was a notable choice, as Shadow Soul was able to win the engagement against Diamond Dog, but Panda Squad and Bonesaw were there to clean up the rest of the team, as the Nano Blade did come out for Bonesaw as well as not Doomfist. And as we are at 90%, the Monsoons pretty much have one more team fight before they will have to lose this first map and go to map number 2.
They get a staggered kind of touch as we're going for it, if they get anything at all. And really what they end up getting is just held right outside their spawn, distracted by people that are right outside as they come out. Things are definitely looking good for the Everest. There does not seem to be anything, there doesn't seem to be anything the Monsoons can do to break this defense here, at least on that point. If you're the Everests, what is going so well for them, Brenner? Can you walk us through that? Can you walk us through why their defense is so unbreakable?
It could be the simple issue of they have better skill. It could be the other issue of this team has been playing together for over a year now, so they definitely have each other well known, whereas the Monsoons is a brand new team. They're coming into this in their first couple of games saying, all right, let's start learning each other and where we can improve. So this is definitely a trial and error situation for the Monsoons, which is where the Everests can just say, all right, here's what's working, here's what's not. We know we can outplay them, so let's continue to do so and improve upon it, which we already see with Bonesaw doing a solo echo play here and getting the first elimination against Waffleman. Waffleman's been splitting away from his team as a Lucio, which is not what you want to do as a healer, to try to get to the objective, and that has going to cost them as the Monsoons don't have his healing support.
Diamond Dog going to get the final elimination on Nox with that dive elimination. Pando coming in with the elimination on the Waffle Man, who was away from their team for most of that engagement, but came in just in time to get eliminated by Pando. Bonesaw's going to get a little bit of kind of cheeky poke in there on the Echo, which is usually something you want to see, your Echo poking in between the fights. And it looks like the Everests are set up pretty well on the high ground with the exception of Pando. That could be what the Monsoons need to set up this next fight here.
Yeah, the Monsoons do have some amazing players on their end of both Sunky and BBQ who have been able to win constant 1v1 engagements, but with the dive composition that is the Everests, they're able to pick their targets and take them out like CS Squared, quickly followed by Waffleman and Shadow Soul and BBQ. They say, all right, go him, and then keep rotating through. And a lot of the times they can also just straight up win the 1v1.
Pando going to win the 1v1 against Sunky over there as the Everest reset back onto high ground. It seems an amazing anti-nade made by not Doomfist is the cost that it's going to take for them being down to support. Pando swapped over on the Lucio from the Brig after getting eliminated just once, and it looks like Bonesaw's going to set us up for success here, getting the first elimination onto CS Squared. We talked about it earlier in the night. You lose your main healer, you lose the fight. That's how I expect this to go, especially as BBQ is going to get juggled off of the edge. Shadow Soul is eliminated just outright, and Bonesaw is going to get the Echo execution beam onto Waffle. Pando's going to get the boop onto Nox. And then there's just a little bit of cleaning up and resetting to go. As BBQ is pseudo re-engaging, doing little more than giving the enemy team ult charge right now. And Waffleman, we see him in the peripheral. We see him in the middle of the Everests. That's going to be an interesting adventure to follow.
Yeah, BBQ swapping off of that Roadhog could help his team, but at the same time, he's not providing any barrier to try to keep them alive. All eyes are on Shadow Soul to keep them alive because he is the only shield tank on their team. He went for the Shadow, did not land on anybody, but Sunky is there with the double dragon, able to eliminate two, but will get remech eliminated by Chum is Fum. So with BBQ being the only one on point, once again, the last one of his team to survive, being that off tank to just try to cause as much chaos as he can. Will try to get it, but won't be able to get the height he needed. So he will not be able to contest any more, and the Everests will take an easy win against the Monsoons.
And the Everests they were proving why they were #2 in our fall tournament. Looks like they're looking to do that again and challenge the Pink Panthers even for their #1 spot. Cannot congratulate the Everests enough. Want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers? Then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights, and with our featured rumbles, recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. And there are definitely some players here tonight that are worthy of some collegiate scholarships, perhaps. Who would you say those players are? And you can't say Despacito this time.
I was just going to say the team of the Everests because they played phenomenally. I would actually probably swap over to Bonesaw at this point because we saw them being such an issue for the team that Sunky essentially dedicated his entire time to 1v1ing Bonesaw and winning it. So I definitely respect it of just, if I can't win, this game with my team, I'm going to win the moral victory against their other DPS who has been beating him a lot of the times. And then he started winning it. So big respect to Sunky for that, and also Bonesaw for how well he was able to get those eliminations. What you saw in the Genji, he got the quad without even the nano blade in his back pocket so early on. So Bonesaw did very well.
And sometimes it's worth it to just single-mindedly dedicate yourself as a DPS to winning the 1v1, especially if that DPS, like Bonesaw, is just wiping the floor with your entire team. If you can even distract them from doing that, sometimes it's worth it. And it looks like the Everests took this one, but there were definitely some bright spots on the side of the Monsoons throughout all of their matches tonight. But our final series to kick the night off is Meridian Tech and the Fire Islands.
Yeah, I do expect this to go to the side of Meridian Tech after beating the Monsoons, as well as being able to take off a round of the Everest, who absolutely dominated the Fire Islands. So I expect this to be a one-sided match, but with how well the Fire Islands have improved, maybe they will be able to come back and take a map off of Meridian Tech. We'll just have to wait and see of what is coming up. And with all of the matches starting off on an escort map, and if the Fire Islands get to choose, seeing as they are in the losers bracket right now after not winning their first match, I hope to see them pick a map that will go towards their team play rather than individual, because we see so many teams going towards their individual level of play. But that's one thing that we have been working on Meridian Technical a lot, is here's the strategy, here's how to play as a team. So I hope to see that continue for them.
And we know that Meridian Technical is capable of it.
Yeah, that's one thing why we've been teaching them so well, so I hope we can see that continue. And if we go to control, hopefully it's not Lijiang Tower, just to try to keep Meridian Technical off their best foot.
And with that, we're going to head to a break before bringing you this final match between Meridian Tech and the Fire Islands.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, where we are broadcasting the Esports Tower Rumble Winter Edition in Overwatch. We're broadcasting it live here tonight, and Meridian Tech will be going up against the Fire Islands. And as you can see, our lovely arena as we go up here, the Meridian Tech is definitely somebody that's been here in the arena a lot, and we know a lot about them, not only as a team, but also as individual players. Some notable players are the support lineup for Meridian Tech. And the Fire Islands surprised us a little bit in our first couple of matches with some bright spots. I am your host, Colby D'Angelo Alloway. Joining me tonight is Brenner Bear Ladd to call all of the action. And we know a lot about Meridian Tech, but what are we expecting from the Fire Islands, Brenner?
hopefully some strong improvement from their prior matches. As we've seen, they have definitely been the weakest team from the start, and we've seen them consistently improve from there. So going up against Meridian Technical, who has been pretty consistently our third best team in these Esports Tower Rumbles, with Pink Panthers being the first after winning the Fall Club Championships, the Everest being that team number 2. So Meridian Tech being that third team where they have been able to beat the Everest in the past, but never truly overcome them consistently. So now with the Fire Islands going up against Meridian Technical, they're still going to have an uphill battle, but I hope to see them improve a lot of areas and try to beat Meridian Technical at the team play, because we know Meridian Technical is good at both, but they definitely have a stronger team play than we've seen from most other teams. So if the Fire Islands can match their team play, I hope to see this match go longer than a quick 2-0 victory.
And you mentioned that there being a couple of snags from the Meridian Tech that we will talk about here in a second. Tonight we have the Everests, the Fire Islands, the Monsoons, and the Meridian Tech. We've seen all of them play tonight. The Everests were our number 2 seed were our number 2 champions in the fall season, and they did an amazing job to earn that. Meridian Tech was the third immediately after that. What are these snags that prevent Meridian Tech from being at that level with the Everests and the Pink Panthers?
It's definitely the issue of they overcommit to what they know best and don't have the adaptability to answer the versatility of their enemy teams. So we see a lot of the times of the Everest being able to mid-game swap heroes and still outperform the enemy team, even if sometimes they're giving up their ultimate or a ideal comp setup rather than something that the enemy team might not expect, which will throw them on their back foot and allow them to win the team fight, which is what the Everest do so well, is that versatility on top of their very high individual play. So even when they're going into a fight where they have the weaker team comp, they have the better individual skill to push them over the edge, which is where Meridian Technical, if they can improve their team play on top of their individual play, is where they can start matching a lot of these tougher opponents where, all right, anything they throw at us, we know how to beat them with this team comp because we fought everything with this team comp. But at the same time, having a little bit more versatility can be such a good card in your back pocket.
And after that advice, we actually have a little bit more just to give Meridian Tech here, and that is Doc's keys to the game that apply to everyone. In an Overwatch, that's understand your comp/play style, which Meridian Tech knows quite well, almost to a fault. Focus on each fight, because each fight is important, and each fight can make the difference between you winning or losing. And get good ult value. It's not an ability that's on cooldown. It's not something you're going to have back in a couple of seconds, so you really need to make it count. And the objective is greater than your kills. You can be in the kill feed all you want. If nobody's on cart, you're not going to win the game. And Doc's keys to the game are presented by the Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. And here we have Meridian Tech versus the Fire Islands again. Meridian Technical is definitely, they were the third place in our fall. They are definitely the favored one of this matchup. But the Fire Islands haven't been anything to sneeze at. In fact, they've surprised us and some of the teams we've gone up against just even tonight. So Meridian Tech, if you're the Fire Islands, what do you need to do to catch a Meridian Technical off guard on this first point Hanamura Assault map?
I mean, yeah, for Hanamura, going with the map rotation of the Assault, Hybrid, and Control, Assault is definitely going to be, it's either a complete snowball or a total siege. And if you're the Fire Islands, you want it to be a total siege because you're on that defense first. You don't want to push up too far. You want to hold that window and the main door. Whereas if you're Meridian Technical, you have to teleport in the right spot and get Big Boofus set up. Fire Islands has to be ready to combat this. Yes, they have the Mei with the Mei wall, but once the teleporter's down, they have nothing to combat it, and they're going to go right for the roof, so that's already putting Mei on her back foot. So all eyes are going to be on Shroomy with this Cole Cassidy to deal the damage and hold them back. And Delirious on this Lucio is going to have to be someone you watch out for because he likes getting in the back line, and already Soup getting the first elimination against Frozen Phoenix. It's actually very good for Meridian Technical as they continue to assault it. Bastion following very low, so Fire Islands do have that target recognition, but losing the Mei means they will not be able to stall this out as long as they like to. Shroomy is able to take down Fem Neptune, but it will simply not be enough, losing both tanks with Radius Boss falling, quickly followed by Delirious. King Swift is doing very well.
Big Boofus is going to get the final elimination on the Lucky Chew, though, and it looks like things just kind of go Meridian Technical's way here very cleanly for this force point. Shroomly, wisely getting the elimination reset. Could have maybe jumped off the map to save them some ult charge there, but ultimately the Fire Islands are now in the position of having to stop a snowball. And Hanamura's second point is actually one of the best points to go to if you're going to stop a snowball, because Meridian Tech only has so many ways that they can go, right? They have a Bastion, they have a Symmetra. It's likely they're going to be teleporting exactly like that. The Fire Islands were ready for that. Delirious hitting the anti-nade of the Sentry that will allow them to eliminate Fem Neptune and King Swiffer. Big Boofus, however, will get the elimination on the Lucky Chew, and that's a little bit less than what you want.
Yeah, they're doing the best, trying to contest the high ground. Frozen Phoenix is doing phenomenal, but causing a couple members to drop down means that they will be able to withstand the first push, but now they have to hold out for 5 minutes.
And that first push was definitely going to be the most dangerous push for them. There were no ultimates charged and there were no ultimates used, but usually when you try to snowball like that, you do it off of the back of ultimates. And I will say, Fire Islands, Delirious, carried that whole fight with both of their anti-nades, because you can trace how Fire Islands won that last fight to the first anti-nade that fell and was able to eliminate Fem Neptune and King Swiffer, which are your two main tanks. Definitely not who you want to go down first. And then all the eliminations that came after that second one. So Fire Islands, great job. First defense goes to you, Delirious.
Yeah, so now heading into this second team fight, all eyes are going to be on Frozen Phoenix, who jumps right on top of Meridian Technical. Wasn't able to lead in eliminations, but here comes the Diva Bomb to kick things off.
With the double kill onto Fem Neptune and King Swiffer. That's becoming a bad habit of Meridian Technical. Both of their main tanks getting eliminated. Dragon Shadow is going to take out Daydream immediately after that. Soup, the only member on Meridian Technical to get an elimination that round. Frozen Phoenix is going to clean it up with the elimination onto Soup. And Big Boofus is just going to run off the map, which is understandable at that point because, I mean, that fight was lost the second you lost both of your main tanks. 2CP. Why is 2CP so hard to cap, Brenner Bear? We've seen both of these fights just completely, like, hit against a brick wall and immediately overturned. Why is that?
I mean, there's only so many places you can attack from, and with every map, there's always the guaranteed they're going to come through here. Like Hanamura, they're always going to come through that top side because that gives you the high ground. So now with Nanoblade straight into the back line, at least Meridian Technical does get first elimination.
And with the pin onto the, we have not seen that sort of needle thread pin from Fem Neptune in a while. It ultimately isn't going to end up going their way because usually when your Reinhardt is away from the rest of your team, there's not a lot of good that can be done. Big Boofus getting the final elimination onto Frozen Phoenix. Frozen Phoenix was able to score a single elimination onto King Swiffer. Fem Neptune's going to try to see what they can do on the point after pinning that Genji, but ultimately that neither thread pin, while cool, ended up costing them that fight. Delirious with that final elimination. And we have seen huge anti-nade value every single fight from Delirious. And while that Nanoblade didn't quite pan out the way they wanted it to, the point is still theirs, and they've killed 2 minutes off of this clock here. We still have 2 minutes and 40 seconds here, so Meridian Technical might be able to take it up in this top right corner here as they set up and kind of do a little bit of poke, set up for the fight. We're going to want to watch King Swiffer's Gravitic Flux here.
Yeah, the ultimates are definitely on the side of Meridian Technical as things kick off with the Deadeye onto Frozen Phoenix, so losing their main tank and by Meridian Technical a little bit of time as Radius Boss takes down King Swiffer.
Big Boofus is going to come up with the elimination onto Dragon Shadow immediately after that. Both teams are relatively even right now. Eternal Flame looking for the nano target, going to go onto the Reinhardt. Sleep Dart is going to not hit on the Diva. Radius Boss going to get the melee kill onto Daydream, and that almost ends Meridian Technical's push right there. Although Fem Neptune is going to do an elimination onto Frozen Phoenix and Radius Boss. Fem Neptune's definitely going out swinging here, but Shroomy and Lucky Chew are going to clean that fight up before anything more comes from this. We have the Eternal Flame swap onto the Mercy. And with a minute and 40 seconds on the clock, you're getting nervous if you're Meridian Technical. How do you want them to use their ultimates to take this point from the Fire Islands?
I mean, the Gratific Flux can definitely help take off the members of the Fire Islands from the high ground, as well as Big Boofus try to set up with the Death Blossom if they can line him up after slamming him on the ground, assuming he doesn't get taken out very early, because Fire Islands do have the Nanoblade as well as the Pulse Bomb and Primal Rage to try to outlive all of that damage, and they're entering Fire Islands' house, so they definitely are at a disadvantage.
That's gets the second pin onto the Nano Blade of Genji, and I mean, you know, Fem Neptune couldn't stop the first elimination. Delirious is going to get the elimination onto Soup. Frozen Phoenix is going to eliminate Fem Neptune after a valiant attempt at denying the Nano Blade. But it looks like that fight for Meridian Technical will end without either one of their ultimates even coming out, because the Fire Islands did the Nano first, and Big Boofus is going to sadly get cleaned up before they can even hit the health pack. But ultimately, that's better, not feeding more health into ult charge for Genji.
Yeah, Meridian Technical at least had the restraint to hold on to most of their ults, as we see Eternal Flame on the Baptiste now. But with 30 seconds remaining, this is the time where you see Meridian Technical want to go for an all-in push, use all of their ultimates, because they only have to deal with that Primal Rage if the fight goes on long enough. Lucky Chu could get the rally back, but they're going to have to live for a long time and get a lot of damage in. So it seems that Meridian Technical is just going to go, hey, diddle diddle, right down the middle. Just with the Sigma Barrier, you do their best to keep the team alive. Eternal Flame with the POV, with the Deadeye here to kick things off.
That anti-lane nade landed, but wasn't capitalized on, so that's their first big obstacle. Fem Neptune is going to get the elimination on the Radius boss off the cusp of the Reaper elimination, and then Big Boofus is going to eliminate Frozen Phoenix. King Swiffer with the Gravitic Flux elimination onto Lucky. Big Boofus is just cleaning house over here, trying to get the elimination onto the Tracer. Can't do it by himself. Fem Neptune comes over to help. Big Boofus does finally get it though, and now it is just clean up on the point at this point, and now everybody has to avoid the Diva Bomb. And Radius Boss is going to get the remake elimination onto Big Boofus. Delirious is going to get the anti-nade onto King Swiffer, and immediately the elimination follows onto that. Not only them, but also Daydream and Eternal Flame, Soup, and Fem Neptune, and it looks like this push is done. Off the cusp of another great anti-nade, but also just everybody respawning at once.
Yeah, Fire Islands both had the spawn advantage and the ult advantage, as they were able to build up faster than Meridian Technical could. And honestly, after Big Boofus was not able to get a single elimination with his Death Blossom, he just had to go for the left-click fire to take out just the Winston. He was finally able to take out the Tracer, but once he could die to the remake, he was their main DPS as the Reaper for that close quarters to slow down their respawn timers. So losing him was definitely that turn point of a moment for the Fire Islands to win that defense. However, Meridian Technical did get it up to that 94.2%, so they got very close to capping it. So now with the Fire Islands on the attack, they are still also going to go for a Symmetra teleporter play. However, they are not going with the Bastion. Instead, they are sticking to the Mei that Dragon Shadow has been playing so consistently. With Meridian Technical on the defense, they're also going for their own Symmetra to try to just teleport right on top of the Fire Islands with their own Mei. However, the tank difference here between Fem Neptune on the Roadhog as well as Radius Boss on the Diva, I personally would favor the Roadhog just because of the survivability of him, and Radius Boss doesn't really have a lot of projectiles to eat from the side of Meridian Technical due to Soup being on the Symmetra. You know he's going to target down that Diva because she cannot eat up that beam.
That is true, she can't eat up the beam, but she might be able to do something a little bit with the Baptiste and high ground control here, because there's not a lot of Meridian Technical that can get them to the high ground, save for the Symmetra teleporter. That was a scary hook, I am not going to lie to you. I thought that fight was going to be over just then as soon as that hook came out, but both teams are still just kind of doing poke damage right here, right now. Reinhardt's shield getting weak, gonna go ahead and back up, maybe set some teleporters up, maybe set some turrets up, see if we can do anything about that, and repeat. And the teleporter actually goes off this time, up onto the high ground. Lucky Chu is going to be the first one to fall, and that's never what you want to see. Soup doing a great job of getting an elimination, but immediately gets eliminated after. King Swiffer going to come after Frozen Phoenix and eliminate Frozen Phoenix, and at this point, it's just a brawl on the point. With Delirious getting eliminated by Fem Neptune, Big Boofus getting the elimination onto Shroomy, and Dragon Shadow losing the battles of the Mei to Big Boofus. And I gotta say, the second they lost Lucky Chu, I knew that that's how that fight was going to turn out, because you can't have a brawl on the point with nothing but Lucio healing. Radius Boss getting cleaned up much later than the rest. That'll cost them about 5 seconds, which in Overwatch is actually quite a long time. But Meridian Technical has the ultimate advantages for this next fight. So if you're Fire Islands, what do you want to do when the enemy's coming up on 4, almost 5 and 6 ultimates?
I mean, hopefully you're tracking the ultimates of what Meridian Technical has with how well they've been able to hold out. And so with things kicking off with the Amplification Matrix, Fire Islands have to play a lot more conservative, and taking down Fem Neptune first is exactly a great way to start it.
And Soup is going to get that elimination onto Delirious. The mech elimination, both teams have kind of like backed off at this point, which is understandable. If you're the Fire Islands, you don't want to keep pushing when you're already down somebody on the attack, especially if it's your off tank.
Yeah, so now as we wait for his return, also Fire Islands are surprisingly waiting when they had the advantage, so opening up with the Blizzard is a great start for them.
And we're going to get the elimination onto Big Boofus and Soup. That's both DPS. Tanks are relatively safe as we go in. Frozen Phoenix getting elimination on them both. King Swiffer, not to be outdone, gets the elimination onto Frozen Phoenix and Dragon Shadow. And so both teams are even now. It's just going to come down to who has the more important members. And now the balance is up 1 in Meridian Technical's favor with Fem Neptune getting that elimination onto Shroomy. The Fire Islands are going to go ahead and back off.
Yeah, Meridian Technical still maintaining that ultimate value as they use the whole hog to just make sure that they can't come back with a minute 20 on the board, even able to eliminate Radius Boss. Fire Islands do have both the Sound Barrier Shatter and Amplification Matrix, but they have no damaging ults to try to follow up that Shatter with, so it will just have to be execution of, all right, I shattered these people, we're going to target this person instead. So it's going to be all down to that team play of how well can they follow their Reinhardt. But Meridian Technical, if they're able to take down that Reinhardt, they will be in a very good spot as the Maywell comes down to block that Amplification Matrix.
Dragon Shadow getting that elimination onto Big Boofus is huge because Meridian Technical, that's their sole ultimate. King Swiffer getting the counter elimination onto Lucky Chew is equally huge because that's their main healer. Frozen Phoenix is going to go ahead and get the elimination onto Fem Neptune, and Meridian Technical has some ults online. Frozen Phoenix, each Reinhardt picks up 1 with their Shatter. Soup and Frozen Phoenix are going to go down. Daydream's going to go down. The healing situation's looking a little sketchy for Meridian Technical. King Swiffer is going to go ahead and pick up Radius Boss. And it looks like they're finally going to be able to cap this point, at least somewhat, before the scrappy fight resumes here. King Swiffer's the last one to go down on the point. Big Boofus with a solo Blizzard that will get Sound Barriered, but will get almost the entire team over there. And it looks like that Blizzard was mostly a waste, but at least they got the Sound Barrier out of it too. As Symmetra's going to go ahead and get booped off the map, feels bad, Soup. Dragon Shadow's going to eliminate Fem Neptune. Radius Boss is going to get the elimination on Daydream, and things are looking like Meridian Technical is just putting bodies on the point at this point. What deserves highlighting, however, is Eternal Flame booping Delirious off of the map. That's always what you want to see if you're a Lucio. That's definitely how you assert alpha Lucio-ness, is booping the enemy Lucio. Always feels good. Great job. And now Meridian Technical is going to set up for the second point defense. And the Fire Islands were able to hold this point for 4 minutes. We'll see if Meridian Technical is able to do it for 2 minutes and 36 seconds.
Yeah, it seems that the Fire Islands want to just speed right on top of them, but that Maywell was doing its best to try to wall off that Reinhardt, but kicking things off with the Blizzard. Things are looking good for the Fire Islands.
Frozen Phoenix is going to eliminate Daydream and then get eliminated themselves. Respawns are in the advantage of the defender. And it looks like Meridian Technical is just going to go ahead and wipe the floor without any of these respawns coming into play at all, with Fem Neptune getting the final elimination onto Shroomy of that fight. And it looks like they're still going for the May.
Yeah, Meridian Technical definitely has the ult advantage now after burning so many of the Fire Islands, and they just simply weren't able to capitalize on so many of those ultimates. But that is also the power of being on defense for the second point of Assault. You have that spawn advantage, so even when you lose 1 or 2 people to a little bit of cheekiness, they spawn right back, and the attackers are just at such a disadvantage. So they didn't even go for the objective that time, so if they push right down the middle, that could put them at the advantage of having Meridian Technical having to jump right on top of them. But at the same time, Meridian Technical has all 3 ultimates compared to Fire Islands just 1. They aren't even close to building any others. Dragon Shadow's doing their best to build up that blade to get the Nano Blade on, but just kicking these off with the Amplification Matrix could be a good start.
Frozen Phoenix getting the elimination onto Eternal Flame, and then Fem Neptune getting the elimination onto Lucky Chew. That's never what you want to see. 2 main healers down on both sides. Shroomy's going to get the elimination on Soup. Soup's going to turret kill Dragon Shadow as they attempt to get value out of the Genji Blade, but are unsuccessful because their Ana couldn't nano because she was eliminated. Fem Neptune is going to clean things up with Radio Boss here, and Big Boofus is going to get the elimination onto Shroomy on the Tracer. And now we are in last fight territory here with 51 seconds. They have the attacking Fire Islands, they have 1 more fight and then 1 scrappy fight. What do they need to do, especially walking into 2 CP wall with spawns right there, and with the ultimate disadvantage they're at?
Ideally, if you can get just a clean sweep, come back in time, just pure speed boost back, burn as many ultimates as you can of Meridian Technical, but as time keeps ticking down, they're running out of time. It seems that they will just have to go for an all-out brawl here. Able to get the first tick, but not the second, as 2 make that 3 of the ults of Meridian Technical have come out so far.
Shroomi's going to get the elimination onto Soup, but other than that, Meridian Tech has been eliminating all the members of the Fire Islands, and it looks like with that elimination onto Delirious, Fire Islands don't have any more bodies to throw at this point, so it looks like a single tick is all they're going to be able to get as they set up for this desperate recontest here.
Perks of having May at the very end, you deny the main route that they have, as well as no May on the side of Fire Island, so they just have to stall and outright win these damages as now the Blade comes out with no Nana.
With an elimination onto Soup, however, Dragon Shout, and an elimination onto Eternal Flame, that could be big. Dragon Shout is going to get eliminated by King Swiffer. King Swiffer is going to get eliminated by Delirious. This is actually a much more two-sided fight than we expected here, as Big Boofus eliminates Radio Boss and then promptly gets eliminated themselves by Shroomy, and Lucky Chew's going to pick up Fem Neptune, and things are looking sketchy for both teams here, but Meridian Tactical has the advantage of respawn as the Immortality Field goes down from Daydream and is immediately taken out. Lucky Chew's going to take out Daydream themselves. That didn't prolong their life for very long. And Delirious is going to get the elimination onto Eternal Flame, but then promptly get eliminated themselves. Dragon Shadow picking some things up with the help of Radio Boss, getting Soup. That Blizzard on the point is going to pick up Dragon Shadow. But Big Boofus themselves is going to go down, and so is Fem Neptune at the hands of Radio Boss. Shroomy gonna go ahead and get Daydream again on a new character, which is Moira, trying to get back to the point faster, which is understandable. Diva Bomb set up, scares everybody off of the point, and hands the victory to Meridian Technical.
I believe that is the first time we've ever seen Fire Islands win, and we were going into this expecting Meridian Technical to come out on top, but Fire Islands came alive on that first map, which is exactly what we want to see. That's their improvement skill. They had a great team play, and they played close together. They utilized their ultimates sparingly, whereas Meridian Technical kind of blew the first 3 of 4 that they had right off the bat and weren't able to really hold them back, because once they started trickling in no matter, and won it.
And the Esports Tower is a great resource for expert college recruiters. You can talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers. So join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights with our featured rumbles, and recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. And we saw a little bit of an upset here tonight with Meridian Tech versus the Fire Islands. We saw some unexpected things for both sides. Walk me through that, Brenner Bear.
So for the Fire Islands on the defensive side, when they were first taking on Meridian Technical, it was a very clean sweep. Meridian Technical had a strategy going on. They won it through the first team fight. It was very clean. Going to the second one, they definitely choked at the end because they had a 4-minute advantage to just siege it out and play safe. They went straight for the top left play with the Bastion and the Symmetric Teleporter, and they got dove on right by the Winston, which they simply didn't have an answer for. The Bastion tried to turn and take him down, but I guess that he had different target priorities, so he didn't focus that, and that allowed for the more squishies to get taken down by the Winston. As you kept mentioning, the Ana with her constant nades were carrying her team, keeping so many members alive and denying the healing, which allowed so many more eliminations. And also Meridian Technical kept pushing that top right until the very end when they went straight right down the middle, and that was simply just too little too late. So then when it turned around to the Fire Islands on the defensive, taking on, or other way around, the Fire Islands on the offensive this time, the first point took them a lot longer, but it allowed them to gauge the Meridian Technical defense. So when they won it and went to point number 2, they were able to capitalize on it and win it. Even if it was overtime, they still took the win. So you have to give them credit for that. So now on King's Row with Eternal Flame already showing a Widowmaker so early on the offensive, unless they get some really amazing picks, I expect that to be swapped off very quickly. Especially on the side of having Daydream on your main support, they could easily pull out the Pharmacy here right into the Shroomy Cole Cassidy if they believe they can outwin the 2 hit scans on the side of the Fire Islands.
It does feel like Daydream would get more value out of the Mercy as opposed to a Baptiste as we set up for this next fight. King Swiffer is going pretty aggressive, but lucky for King Swiffer that Reinhardt is right with them as Lucky Chu's Immortality Field is going to be eliminated, taking away a little bit of a safety net for them, but Meridian Technical is also down in Immortality Field, so things are relatively even as both teams just kind of like poke at each other, and Meridian Technical is going to give up some point ticks, but they get the elimination on the Lucky Chew, which is exactly what you're looking for, and they decide to push in just after that. Fem Neptune is going to be the price, but with eliminations onto Dragon Shadow, Radio Boss, Frozen Phoenix, and Shroomy, they're going to be able to take this point and unlock the cart so that they can attack, and they are understandably pushing forward, taking the space that they can from the Fire Islands after this first fight.
Yeah, we see so many times in quick play of people just, everyone sits and waits for the cart to spawn, but rather than take space. So that's why you want to see in the competitive scene people taking space all the way up to that checkpoint. Yes, you will lose members, but the whole time the cart is being pushed. That's why we talk about in Doc Skis. The objective is the whole point of Overwatch, so they're getting a ton of value here. They're getting both ults. Yeah, they're losing members, but value.
King Swiffer definitely underestimated the ultimates that Fire Islands were going to have over there. Frozen Phoenix came at him with the Shatter, and the Fire Islands were just able to pump a ton of damage into King Swiffer and force them to back up. And so they got about a third of the way to point two, more than that. I would say that's a pretty nice push, and now Meridian Technical has the ultimate advantage should they choose to push it. And with an elimination on the Fem Neptune, now is definitely not the time to push it if you're Meridian Tech, but Eternal Flame's going to do that anyway and get an elimination onto Frozen Phoenix with the attack visor. They will not be able to get out of the Blizzard, however, and that Blizzard is the catalyst for the triple Diva Bomb kill onto Daydream, King Swiffer, and Eternal Flame. Great job, Radius Boss, and Radius Boss is actually somebody that's been working on their Diva play and consistency for the Fire Islands exactly so that they can do plays like that. Kudos to you, Radius Boss. That is obviously, all that practice is obviously paying off for you. You and May single-handedly held off that push with the triple elimination.
Yeah, Meridian Technical still has the ult advantage though, but Fire Islands are very close behind as the Amplification Matrix is going to kick off the very next fight.
And we can't see what's going on. Radius Boss has the elimination onto Fem Neptune. Soup is going to get the elimination onto Frozen Phoenix and Shroomy in quick succession out after each other. Dragon Shadow is going to eliminate King Swiffer, and it looks like that push is pretty done for Meridian Technical. And at this point, they've been sitting on ults for far longer than is acceptable. Ults are designed to be used. They're designed to switch a fight. Fem Neptune and Big Boofus have been holding on to, and now there's the Earth Shatter right there, going to be used to eliminate Dragon Shatter, which is pretty huge, but not if you get eliminated yourself by Lucky Chew. Radius Boss is going to remech onto Big Boofus, which we always love to see the remech kills. And it looks like Meridian Technical is just gonna go ahead, cut their losses, retreat, but return fire as they're retreating.
This whole time, Big Boofus has had his Deadeye that he is just not used. I understand the fact that he did die to Radius Boss with the remake, but at the same time, did you not have Flashbang or anything to stop the Diva from getting that close to you? So now, losing Daydream so early on, they might even have to reset so quickly.
Losing Daydream, losing any Baptiste at all first usually prompts a reset immediately after that. It should not prompt you using your attack visor. And Frozen Phoenix is going to go ahead and clean that up. Shroomy is going to eliminate Eternal Flame. And now Meridian Technical is left with nothing but a Deadeye and almost a Gravitic Flux and a chance for this last fight here, as they're going to go double main healer to try to break through this Fire Island's hold.
Yeah, a lot of eyes are going to be on Eternal Flame with this Genji to try to dive the backline of the Fire Islands, which has just been keeping them together with Delir. He is slowly charging that sound barrier now on the Lucio, but Big Boofus is required to use this Deadeye this time around, even stunned out of the Shatter to kick things off.
Frozen Phoenix is going to get eliminated by Fem Neptune in a battle of the charged Rhines. Fem Neptune not worth it though, because Fem Neptune is going to get immediately eliminated after that charge, so I hope it felt good. It didn't have a lot of impact on the fight. Big Boofus is going to eliminate Delirious quickly after that, and now teams are just using ults and seeing what they can get out of it. And for the side of Meridian Technical, they can get Radius Boss, Dragon Shadow, and Lucky Chew all out of their hair as they are eliminated. And it looks like Meridian Technical is going to be able to take this point. All they needed to do was press Q. and eliminate the Fire Island's main tank.
I guess Big Boofus refuses to press Q. He will hold on to Deadeye until he
Unbound.
gets a 6-man Deadeye ult at this point. I mean, but at least Fem Neptune has been using
No one's
Shatter
on the
after
cart.
Shatter, getting very aggressive, but taking space gets you the win. I am all for it, especially that aggressive Ryan. You hear the Deadeye on the side of Fire Islands come out, but it will get reflected.
Reflected, great job, Eternal Flame. Eliminating a Cole Cassidy with their own Deadeye is one of the greatest feelings in Overwatch. Lucky Chu's gonna eliminate the Immortality Field. Frozen Phoenix going to Shatter, get a massive Shatter, eliminate Fem Neptune, and then off the cusp of that, Soup and Big Boofus will also go down. So Meridian Technical is down both supports, as now Daydream is going to fall as well, and King Swiffer, and so that push is just completely done.
This is the time where use it or lose it. Big Boofus needs to use it or swap off this Cole Cassidy. He's been getting value, but what's the point of having an ult if you're not going to use it? Because it can secure at least one, which could give your team the leg up in the next fight. And also, Fem Neptune's looking for that great Shatter opportunity. Getting 1 or 2 members could give him the advantage, and he lands it on to Frozen Phoenix.
And it looks like that Blizzard's going to come out onto a couple members, and then the bomb immediately after that, setting up for a combo that is almost as successful as the last one. Radius Boss is going to eliminate Fem Neptune and Big Boofus, while Eternal Flame is just going to give up and fall off the map. Hopefully for a fight, hopefully for another fight here, while Soup is going to be the last eliminated by Shroomy. And at this point, it's offensive that Big Boofus is not using their ultimate, because you can even just use it to reload. But Meridian Technical going in with these 4 ultimates, how do they use it to cap this final point, Brenner?
Take the 1v1s you can. Soup is obviously going to have to use theirs to counteract the 2 ults that the Fire Islands have, and it seems losing 2 members, they're not even going to be able to do that.
Soup can't counteract anything if they're eliminated, so good job, Shroomy. And then Frozen Phoenix and Radius Boss, not to be outdone, are going to get eliminations of their own. Shroody's going to go ahead and get another one, and Frozen Phoenix is going to get the final one of this engagement onto King Swiffer. And Meridian Technical is... I think their plan is to just build up 6 ultimates and then like use them to get this last corner, but they have to win 2 fights. 1 full fight, 1 full team fight, and then 1 scrappy fight where the Fire Islands will recontest that point if they want to win. So if they're trying to build up 6 and just use them all, they'll have to manage them a little bit better than that, and Shroomy is going to eliminate Eternal Flame before they can do any of that in the high ground 1v1. Sound barrier is going to come out onto all of the members of the Fire Islands. Huge sound barrier. Fem Neptune is going to go down before they can use their own Shatter by Frozen Phoenix. However, Daydream's Amplification Matrix is going to come down. Soup finally coming at it with that Coalescence is going to get the elimination onto Dragon Shadow. Frozen Phoenix eliminates King Swiffer. And several other people joining that kill count are Daydream, Big Boofus, and Soup. And that's a 4K coming at you from Frozen Phoenix. And Shroomi's just here to clean up with Eternal Flame and Fem Neptune again popping up in the kill feed.
I think Eternal Flame has some beef with Shroomy, because even with a Dragon Blade, he targeted him and still couldn't kill him, all while Lucky Chu on the Baptiste was uncontested on the roof, just healing his tank the entire time. So if you're Meridian Technical, you're definitely mad at your DPSs for kind of tunnel visioning, not doing their job to help the team of Deadeye was never used by Big Boofus. Eternal Flame was either taken out immediately or tunnel visioned and still lost, all while Radius Boss was absolutely popping off with their Diva. It was a hard loss for Meridian Technical, especially with how far they got. I bet if they had used their ults more sparingly and had gotten even 1-for-1 value, could have turned out better than holding on to everything, use it at the last second, and still lose.
Ultimate effectiveness and just ultimates in general are the things that Meridian Technical is definitely lacking the most this fight. And in some other fights too. And it's not just because Deadeye is a low impact ult, though I understand why a lot of people would think that Deadeye is a low impact ult. It can be blocked, it can do a lot of other things, but it can also even just be used to reload or to threaten people into moving in a way that you would like them to move. So not pressing Q because Deadeye is not a good ult is not necessarily an excuse here. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Eternal Flame, who presses Q at will with no regard to how many members of their team are left alive. And so you've had a couple attack visors that are greatly effective, but not at the right time whatsoever. So I think if the 2 Meridian Technical DPS can meet in the middle, things would go great. Fem Neptune opening things up with an elimination onto Delirious, but it doesn't matter a whole lot because Frozen Phoenix is going to pick up a triple kill immediately after that onto Fem Neptune themselves and the and the off support for Meridian Technical, which is the Mercy. Soup will go down immediately after that. Eternal Flame's going to be the last person standing, but also immediately eliminated. Daydream going for the res, just because to try to set up, get some poke damage in, get some threatening things in. Eternal Flame and Daydream are at a dangerous place as Meridian Technical is trying to respawn here. Radius Boss and Delirious are going to get the cart as we move back into the fight. Frozen Phoenix getting dropped quite low there, but is going to be able to be healed back up to half HP. Still a little bit of a dangerous game for Frozen Phoenix here, but Luki Chu's been able to charge their whole ultimate off of that dangerous game, so that's nice, as Meridian Technical is going to be moved on here, and Shroomy popping up on the Deadeye, going to use it into the Amplification Matrix to great effect without the help of the Amplification Matrix, and that's why you use your Deadeye. The double kill, and then the elimination immediately after that onto Daydream, who went for a res in the middle of the fight. And Soup is going to just become more ultimate charged on the Fire Islands here as they push Cart to second point. Meridian Technical, what they have here is one last fight to try to make this point. And if you're Fire Islands, what do you want to do to get this point?
Well, they're going to secure this checkpoint with probable ease due to the fact that Meridian Technical is just now getting their ults online when Fire Islands already have both the Blizzard and Shatter online, and they're going to kick it off with the Blizzard.
Blizzard's always a good ultimate to start off with. Frozen Phoenix wasn't there to block, but it's not going to matter a whole lot as Dragon Shadow and Radius Boss both get eliminations. Daydream putting the work in as Mercy, getting the resurrection, onto Fem Neptune. Big Boofus getting the elimination onto Dragon Shadow, and with Radius Boss now being out of mech, this is more of a fight than it was initially looking to be, especially as Fem Neptune gets the whole hog online, is able to use it. Again, cannot emphasize the importance of that res from Daydream. Very risky, but ultimately ended up winning them the point because Fem Neptune was able to come back, use whole hog, and get the attackers off of the cart. Great job to Fem Neptune, and great job to Daydream, who, without that, Fem Neptune wouldn't have been able to do anything nearly that cool. As we set up on the defense for Meridian Technical, what are you looking to do, Brenner, to keep the Fire Islands from getting back to the cart?
With the Pocket Mercy from Eternal Flame, I expect him to get value from the sides. But if he is contested on the high ground with Radius Boss on this Diva, with how much they've been practicing and how well they've been carrying their team, and pushing exactly where he is. If he gets taken out here, it could be very detrimental for Meridian Technical. Well, however, he was able to retreat in time. A lot of eyes are going to be on Daydream as they are the Pocket Mercy and have been targeted so much, but losing Stoop so early on would explain why they might get team wiped here.
And that elimination, Soup is going to get eliminated a second time, which is a little bit unfortunate in that engage. Lucky Chu coming with the final one. Elimination as we set up for this next fight. There are two fights that need to be won.
And all eyes are going to be on Eternal Flame for that.
For the attack visor of the century to at least take one of these down. Hopefully with a Mercy Pocket like you were talking about.
Yeah, Fire Islands have been very clear about what their win condition is, and that is to take out one of the two main supports that they have. And with both ultimates coming out immediately for Meridian Technical and a great three-man Shatter, that's how you kick things off.
Eternal Flame going to get that elimination right after the Tactical Visor elimination, is going to get the Helix elimination onto Delirious. Daydream going to get the res onto King Swiffer, always the res onto the tanks, and it's always great. Soup's going to pick up Frozen Phoenix. Daydream themselves is going to pick up Radius Boss, which you've got to feel bad for Radius Boss, but feels great if you're the Battle Mercy getting the elimination. And Meridian Technical, as we set up for this next fight, has the ultimate advantage. So if you're Fire Islands, how are you... Big Boofus, no. If you're Fire Islands, how are you going to subvert that ultimate advantage and their spawn advantage?
Gotta look for the right picks, and as the tire comes out, he gets the right two targets. Both DPSs are gone. So that is definitely going to secure your backline for Meridian Technical because they don't have the damage to push you back, so they're not even going to go for the push. They do get the whole hog for free, though, out of Fem Neptune. That is lost value for Meridian Technical, but they're going to try to finish out these last two tanks who got cut out.
And with 2 minutes and 53 seconds on the clock, you have a little bit of time to make some mistakes, get some people picked by a tire. Eternal Flame's going to eliminate Delirious, immediately get eliminated themselves, and then brought back up. Quite a bizarre adventure there in the kill feed over there. And if you're the Fire Islands, now the ultimate economy is split in your favor. What ultimates are you looking out for this next fight, Brenner?
I mean, they're using them already, so we can see
There
why
you
they
go.
start off with the Amplification Matrix, zone Meridian Technical out, make them retreat, having to turn their backs and taking a ton of damage will only lead to the one elimination of King Swiffer, but Daydream's immediately going to have to use that Valkyrie to keep his team alive.
Fem Neptune going to get eliminated. Daydream back in there with the res, living with half HP. These reses have got to get punished at some point, but right now it's fantastic to watch. Dragon Shadow getting the elimination onto Eternal Flame. Fem Neptune getting re-eliminated after they were resurrected. And these two teams are kind of at a stalemate here until someone's caught out of position or respawns happen or somebody uses an ultimate. Big Boofus going to get looking to get some huge value with that tire. Looks like they won't be able to, they will find it on the Frozen Phoenix, which is about as much value as you could possibly ask for from a tire. Getting, as you'll notice, the tanks immediately back out.
Eternal Flame also used their sights and was not able to pick up one, but he learned from Big Boofus never using the Deadeye and saw how the Deadeye should have been used for zoning mechanics. Yes, he should have used it to get eliminations rather than also combining it with the tire, but he did buy his team just that much more time. So now with only the Shatter on the side of Meridian Technical, that's what they have to play around, and Fire Islands are definitely going to recognize that with how they've been playing. But it seems that they will still get shattered with 2 members dying.
Immortality Field was used too early in that fight, not used to like circumvent the Shatter, and that's a little bit unfortunate as the Baptiste. Shatter goes down and you still have 17 seconds left on your Immortality Field. Pin comes out and you're like, well, I can't help you, and then immediately back out of that. The Fire Islands now have the ultimate advantage here. Meridian Technical, maybe they can charge some up.
They can charge some up very quickly. They have 3 ults at 90% with Daydream already having theirs up, so they can easily match the Fire Islands ultimate economy, whereas Fire Islands can charge all 6 up very quickly, and starting off with the Amplification Matrix is going to zone out Meridian Technical, and with no elimination starting, but in Mortality Field and Shroomy getting a Deadeye, losing main tank, Meridian Technical's on their back foot.
Big Boofus just struggles to get through that window as Dragon Shadow is going to get the elimination onto Big Boofus. Daydream getting the res onto Soup. Dragon Shadow getting a nice Blizzard elimination onto Fem Neptune. Radius Boss is terrorizing Daydream on the Diva, but Dragon Shadow is going to finally pick up that elimination, and it looks like that is it for the defense there. And the Esports Tower. Oh my god. Esports Tower want to be seen by expert college recruiters, talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, and game producers, then join the club. Esports Tower players get insider access to industry insights, and with our featured rumbles, recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. There are several players and several teams that are definitely worthy of this recognition, especially if they continue on this path into the future. What are some of the players that you're taking notice of?
I mean, definitely Fire Islands came alive in that, and Meridian Technical was struggling very hard there. I mean, Daydream still being the best healer on the team of Meridian Technical, proving why they are the Pocket Mercy doing very well. And on the side of Fire Islands, Shroomy proving why he is the better Cole Cassidy in that situation, getting value out of the Deadeye and actually using it as well. And also, I have to question what Meridian Technical was doing in that team composition. They were going into a Mei Diva with a Rhine Roadhog, so they had nothing to eat the Blizzard, so the Blizzard was always getting a ton of free value. No one was even watching out for it or calling it out. Oh, I would assume because they were simply paying attention to the tanks who had the more defining ultimates, with Radius Boss getting so much value out of that self-destruct. And that's the other thing. Radius Boss was carrying their team so hard in that off-tank role with those giant Diva Bombs. And on top of that, he got a lot of remech kills onto unsuspecting DPS of Meridian Technical, which cost them a lot of team fights. So definitely huge kudos to that Diva player. We know here with our own Diva players how well they can change the game, and Radius Boss achieved exactly that.
And Radius Boss was actually before all of this. One of the pieces of information that the coaches gave us was that Radius Boss has been working on their individual Diva plays so that they can run brawl comps like this, and so that they can use that bomb to great effect. So it's really just like the icing on the self-improvement cake that they performed so amazingly tonight in their matchup against Meridian Technical thus far. But we will go to Ilios here as the final map in this 3-game set. And here between Meridian Technical and the Fire Islands, What are you expecting to see from either team here on Ilios? We have Eternal Flame on the Doomfist. Who do you think they're going to be going for?
Well, I'm terrified of Big Boofus on this Cole Cassidy because he's going to hurt my heart never using that Deadeye. Hey, but I will have a lot of eyes actually on Lucky Chew on this Brig. We've seen them do very well on other supports, and also the return of Lol now on the Tracer. A lot of eyes will be on them as well. Well, but I hope to see Meridian Technical kind of tighten things up and become more of a concise team rather than kind of the fallen apart shambles that they were on that prior map. And it seems getting the point first is definitely going to help them achieve that.
Fem Neptune with that hook elimination. Eternal Flame setting up for a flank. Looks, I don't know that Monkey's the one you're trying to ensnare there, Eternal Flame. That might be a little scary, especially as Radius Boss pokes their head in there too. You probably don't want to go diving into the whole team, or maybe you do, as Eternal Flame decides they do, and they promptly get punished for it, and that's exactly what we expected with Delirious on the final elimination onto Eternal Flame as the fight begins in earnest here. And a huge anti-nade is made onto Meridian Technical. Daydream and King Swiffer, they're able to sustain through it without a real engage happening. Huge sleep onto the Cole Cassidy. Big Boofus is going to get promptly eliminated by Lol with the Ana assist. Delirious doing a great job out here. Lol's going to get elimination, immediately eliminated by Fem Neptune as the hook elimination. Big Boofus coming back from spawn to see if they can do anything to help their team out here. Gunning for Delirious, which is understandable. Delirious has been a menace to the DPS, is able to capitalize on that. Eternal Flame getting the elimination onto Radius Boss immediately after Fem Neptune eliminates their mech with the hook. Big Boofus is hunting for that monkey on top there, who is, Frozen Phoenix is very, very weak. Do you think they'll get out of that situation, Brenner?
I mean, he has the leap. He could try to make it, but he's going to take way too much damage because everyone knows he's up there. Or he can try to get the health pack in the back, but that's only going to heal you for that 75, so it will simply not be enough as he jumps right on top of Big Boofus after Big Boofus takes down Lol. This Tracer's going right into the Cole Cassidy, who is a great counter to them. So I think it's just a battle of, I want to be a better DPS than you.
And yeah, I think that is absolutely, it's an ego thing, running the Tracer into the Cole Cassidy. Things are definitely not looking good. Eternal Flame and Lol both have a lot to look out for the twin Cole Cassidys in Big Boofus. Radius Boss is going to get the elimination onto Eternal Flame after they use their ultimate. Shroomi's just going to clean things up with a Hog ultimate that they stole from Fem Neptune and are going to eliminate them with. But now, Meridian Technical is sitting at an ultimate advantage. For this next fight, how are they looking to use their ultimates so that they can take this point from the Fire Islands?
Well, the tank players, as well as Big Boofus and Daydream, have been playing very close together and very well together. They have the correct target orientation to know, all right, this is who we need to focus, this is who we need to focus. And after missing that pulse bomb from Lol, they have a very strong chance of taking this. But with Eternal Flame once again going off by their own onto Shroomi of all people, of an Echo who can just simply fly away and burn him down with that beam is not what you want to see after using that Meteor Strike and not getting any value out of it, especially with Fem Neptune taking down Lol with another hook. It seems both Lol and Eternal Flame are just trying to be that solo DPS, but this is not a MOBA. You cannot lane on your own. You have to play with your team, and that has definitely been costing both teams so far, as Meridian Technical did get up to 96%.
Fem Neptune getting an elimination on the Frozen Phoenix, which is not what you want to see if you are the Fire Islands. But that is exactly what you want to see. Radius Boss coming in exactly, showing us that they've been working on that Diva, and it's paying off with the triple kill onto half the side of Shroomi's going to go ahead and pick that elimination up onto Daydream, and the King Swiffer Frozen Phoenix is going to finish it up with Souk. And honestly, it's looking like Meridian Technical is trying to build up 6 ultimates so that they can get that last 4%. And if you're the Fire Islands, how do you go up against 5, almost 6 ultimates trying to defend the point 86 to 96?
I mean, if you're Shroomi, you keep picking them off one by one, and consistently Eternal Flame, who's just, I guess, walking in a straight line and not trying to dodge a beam of Shroomi, but kicking things off with both Whole Hog and everything they have. Big Boof is still not using Deadeye. I will continue to just focus down the monkey who was even nanoed. So now with the first elimination finally going over to Eternal Flame taking out Lucky Chew, things are looking up for them.
LOL's going to go ahead and take out Daydream, which is not what you want to see if you're Meridian Technical. You definitely don't want to see King Swiffer or Big Boofist go down either, but Fem Neptune and Eternal Flame have decided they're not quite done with this fight yet as we go 98 to 99 with 4 members on the point and dancing around the point. Fem Neptune on the Roadhog is definitely popping off here as they eliminate Frozen Phoenix and Delirious with the help of Eternal Flame. And that map is going to go to Meridian Technical because Fem Neptune sat on the point as Roadhog. Great job.
Yeah, the tanks of Meridian Technical have pulled the team together along with Big Boofus and the 2 healers, while Eternal Flame has definitely been out doing whatever they feel like. But this third map, we've seen Meridian Technical, as I mentioned, their tanks have been pulling their team together saying, all right, here's the objective, here's how we're pushing it, hold it. They've been calling the targets. They've been acting more like a team rather than a group of individuals. We saw it here with the shield of Orisa keeping herself alive. It was just a great play, to be honest, as Radius Boss did get a 2-piece off of that. But a lot of things to look forward to for Meridian Technical of hopefully Eternal Flame pulls back a little bit and is able to execute with his team. You know, if Big Boofus calls a target, Eternal Flame should be able to jump right on top of him to help out his fellow DPS so that they can out-sustain what is the Fire Islands, who now have the Mercy Echo combo. Shroomy did very well without it, and taking out LOL so early on, seems that LOL is just copying Eternal Flame at that point.
That was also just a really clean shot by Big Boofus there. We've been railing on them for not using the Deadeye, but why use Deadeye when you can just click heads? Eternal Flame's going to get the elimination onto Radius Boss after Big Boofus promptly out of mechs them. We see the Pocket Mercy, Lucky Chew, and Shroomy going at it in the skies here as Meridian Technical is going to take the point. Because, to be fair to the Fire Islands, once you're down 2, you usually don't want to hard push it, and so they didn't. They soft reset, and Eternal Flame is going to jump into 3 members. They're unable to find anything.
Yeah, so
LOL's going to jump into the whole team, though, not to be outdone.
Yeah, LOL once again going in, this time with the help of their Diva, does not get eliminated right off the bat. Eternal Flame trying for that Mercy was not able to secure it, but now Daydream does have that Coalescence along with Fire Islands having that duplicate.
Finally gets the Mercy, Eternal Flame, finally gets Lucky Chew. After losing them a couple of times, Frozen Phoenix is going to go off the map, so's Radius Boss at the hands of Soup, and this point is still Meridian Technicals. The Fire Islands have not been able to get together to get a solid amount of eliminations and sit on the point.
Yeah, and that was the first time this map that Eternal Flame has pushed up too far and got eliminated for it, so hopefully we see them pull a little bit further back so that they continue a very good win streak that they are on for this map at 52% so far. Or Daydream still holding on to that Coalescence, as well as Soup with the Sound Barrier, waiting to see what Fire Islands might try to engage with so that they can counteract it. But Fire Islands do have that Nano as well as Primal Rage, so that would be a great engage on top of the duplicate. Hate to come in from a great flank, but with no boost, all the ults are going to come out.
Huge anti coming out onto King Swiffer. King Swiffer is able to barely get through the anti, but it looks like they might get eliminated anyway, and that was a long, hard-fought battle. LOL getting the elimination. Eternal Flame getting the elimination onto Shroomy, however, after Shroomy was able to already use their ultimates. And there's the Diva Bomb coming out. We get the single kill onto Daydream, which is a little bit less than the double kill that we were expecting, but still overall very nice. Fem Neptune going to get the elimination onto Lucky Chew, and this is still anybody's fight with the exception of now that Eternal Flame has gotten the elimination onto Delirious, and honestly that feels bad. You can't really do anything if you're on and the Doomfist puts it right on you. As this fight continues to go in, Big Boofus is gonna use a Deadeye! Oh my gosh! They're gonna immediately die, but they're gonna press Q. I honestly thought they had it unbound at this point. Eternal Flame going to get the elimination onto LOL. Soup going to get the elimination onto Frozen Phoenix, which is exactly what you're looking for if you're Meridian Technical trying to clean up this fight. And at this point, the Fire Islands are just throwing bodies on the point, trying to nobly stall until somebody can do something.
Yeah, Echo even flew down into the middle hole and still didn't die, but glided to her slow death.
Fem Neptune got a nice hook on them into the hole, banking that they wouldn't go in. And so the winner of tonight is the Fire Islands. We expected great things from the Fire Islands, and especially this win against Meridian Tech. This is huge for them in the Esports Tower because Meridian Tech was 3rd place last time.
Yeah, To say that Fire Islands have improved would be an understatement with how well they did. I mean, we keep talking about how Radius Boss and the coaches said they've been improving their Diva play. They did phenomenally, but at the same time, Meridian Technical came alive on Ilios and held them out very well. The first round was very rough for Eternal Flame, playing kind of a solo game, but as soon as he came back for the second map, he was able to showcase why he is a good Doomfist, and I'm very happy to see that. He pulled himself back a little bit, played with his team, got a lot of solo ultimates, which is what you want to see from a Doomfist. He's getting value, so I definitely think Big Boofus can learn a lot from there with his Deadeyes as well, because we've seen him use it only one other time on the prior map of Ilios, and he used it to kill Lol of that Tracer, who was just harassing him non-stop. So a lot of good learning points for this first week of the Tower Rumble.
And these are two teams that are definitely going to be seeing a lot of each other in the future. I sense a little bit of a rivalry because they're relatively evenly matched as we go on here. Are there any individual players amongst both teams that you feel would make a good player of the game?
Probably one of the tank players of Meridian Technical after that showcasing on Ilios. Yes, Meridian Technical lost the best of 3, but in that final map, you could see why their tanks were trying as hard as they were, because they were the heart and soul of that team. We always talk about how Daydream and Soup being the two main healers, and Daydream with their Pocket Mercy, how good they are. But the tank players of Meridian Technical were also doing as hard work as they could. Even with the Roadhog going into a May on King's Row with no Diva was questionable, they held them out for longer than they should have ever been allowed to. So I think that speaks to the skill of the tank players, because that's also the most stressful role. All eyes are on you to be that front line and prevent the push. And with how many times they were able to do so, I think that speaks to the skill of the players.
And so what do you think works for Fem Neptune on the Roadhog? And it looks like Eternal Flame will be our player. Or it looks like Radius Boss.
Well deserved, though.
Will be our player of the game here as we go in. And we knew going into this that Radius Boss was going to be somebody to be looking out for. Because, like I said, their coaches told us that they were working on their Diva play. And there we have the triple kill bomb. And honestly, a bomb is a really hard ultimate to get value out of. So the fact that Radius Boss is able to do it consistently is nothing short of amazing. And I got it. All of their hard work has definitely paid off as we see another double kill go in on the Fem Neptune, who has a shield. And it cannot be emphasized enough how impressive Radius Boss played the Diva tonight.
It's also well timed on the team play side of Fire Islands, which you can tell they've improved, because every time he Diva bumped, it was immediately after the May had thrown out her Blizzard, because the Blizzard was uncontested every single time. No one was there to eat it up. So they said, all right, I'm going to capitalize on this, which is just the team play mechanics that you want to see the improvement from the Fire Islands.
Team play and strong individual play. That's the best. We couldn't ask for a better player of the game. And the player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping members achieve financial success. Radius Boss is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, and they definitely made their team more successful, but they did it with the help of their team too, which is not something you usually see in a player of the game, and it's great to see that their success comes from comboing with others. And as we kind of get ready to close out this match, what are your big takeaways?
Fire Islands have come back. They went from not winning a single match to winning 2 out of the 3 against Meridian Technical. Meridian Technical has a lot to improve on, especially from what we've seen them be able to achieve during the fall. They have a lot to learn after losing to Fire Islands. A hard-fought loss, though, but they did bring it back on Ilios, so we know that they can go the distance. They just need some more time to bring it back together and hone in their skills. Big Boofus, you got to learn to press Q, man. We know you can do it. So I'm very excited to see what these teams will bring for us next time we come back to them.
And so all the teams tonight showed amazing, great things. We initially thought that Fire Islands was going to be the weakest of the teams, but then they went and won. So congratulations to all the teams for a spectacular showing of our first Winter Overwatch Rumble. The Everests continue to look like the team to beat after 2 strong wins. It looks like they're going back for that second place, and they want to challenge Pink Panthers for the first place. The Fire Islands and Meridian Tech had an amazing series to wrap up the night, and both teams to go into the next week tied for our second spot in the standings. outstanding. The Monsoons look great in their debut Rumble. There's some kinks to work out as what happens with a new team, but I believe that they can absolutely do it. And with continued practice, they can quickly close the gap between themselves and our more veteran competitors. We are excited to see how the next week goes and who will claim the first Winter Rumble Championships. Definitely lots of teams to watch here, and a new rivalry, I think, that was born tonight. Make sure to join us next Tuesday at 6 p.m. EST for the thrilling conclusion to our Winter Rumble right here on the Boise State Twitch channel. We'll close out with the top 5 plays of the game presented by Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Thanks for watching with us tonight.
Ability to dive in, but he's going to be diving in alone, so a lot of eyes are going to be on BBQ for him to be able to perform in that solo role. But on the defense, on the side of the Everest with Bonesaw on the Ashe and Despacito with the Torb turret, they're going to have split priorities, but the Torb hammer battles are coming out, but will not last too long. Sadly, we did not see
push, and now Meridian Technical has the ultimate advantage should they choose to push it. And with an elimination on the Fem Neptune, now is definitely not the time to push it if you're Meridian Tech, but Eternal Flame's going to do that anyway and get an elimination onto Frozen Phoenix with the attack visor. They will not be able to get out of the blizzard, however, and that blizzard is the left alive, and so you've had a couple of attack visors that are greatly effective, but not at the right time whatsoever. So I think if the two Meridian Technical DBS can meet in the middle, things would go great. Fem Neptune opening things up with an elimination onto Delirious, but it doesn't matter a whole lot because Frozen Phoenix is going to pick it onto Radius Boss off the cusp of the Reaper elimination, and then Big Goofus is going to eliminate Frozen Phoenix. King Swiffer with the Gravitic Flux elimination onto Lucky. Big Goofus is just cleaning house over here, trying to get the elimination onto the Tracer. Can't do it by himself. Fem Neptune comes over to help. Big Goofus does finally get it though, and now it is just clean up. Choose been able to charge their whole ultimate off of that dangerous game, so that's nice, as Meridian Technical is going to be moved on here, and Shroomy popping up on the Deadeye, going to use it into the Amplification Matrix to great effect without the help of the Amplification Matrix, and that's why you use your Deadeye. The double kill, and then the elimination.